you press go live?
Yeah. I have pressed go live. There we go. Should be all right now. Here we go.
So you hadn't pressed go live?
I had, but I hadn't changed the tab.
Ah.
So we should be good, right? I think.
Yeah, we're live.
Cool. Right. Well, welcome to Yorkshire TNXP Live. We are literally unscripted. We have no agenda. We're going to try and cover the main things that we normally would cover. If our sound's off, you'll have to let us know. We've got some adjustments we can make to it, but I think everybody's sounds all right. Hopefully we've got people in and you can see us all on the screen. We're joined by Andrew Q for this episode. You slurp away if you want to do some slurping, that's fine.
You guys didn't join me. I thought this was tradition, wasn't it?
Do it.
By the way, I got the official. I made sure
Good
I had the rope up here.
Good man.
So how is everybody? We've all okay? You've been getting around a little bit, Andrew, at the minute.
Yeah, I'm a media whore. My media tour rolls on.
Excellent. So are we sloppy thirds, fourths? What are we?
Thirds, sloppy thirds. Yeah.
Sloppy thirds.
I mentioned on the ramble, but it was just funny that I had Ryan, Kev Hurd, and Root all reach out to me within literally in the span of maybe 2 or 3 days. And then they all, took a while to get scheduled, but this was the first one I had scheduled. So I started to feel bad once I realized that they were all scheduled within a week of each other.
I think that's what happens though, isn't it? Because I think when you start getting quite active in the community, everybody then sort of like wants to get you on their shows because they know you're interacting a lot and getting involved in things. And it's quite nice just to have community members in any of the shows and streams, really, rather than just the same people all the time. And like you say, it looks like we've got a few people coming in the chat as well. I know we picked an awkward time, but I know you got the Super Bowl later as well. And then we do usually do our recordings, to be fair, between 5 and 6. So that is kind of usual for us. But I think if we do go live we'll probably try and do it a little bit later.
Yeah.
So everybody will probably notice we haven't got... Go on, say again.
I appreciate you accommodating me.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. So we haven't got Bruce this week. So, and we've got Mr. K back a little bit more positive than normal. So that's good.
I didn't promise shit.
You seem positive.
I didn't promise anything.
I was concerned for you last week. You looked like you just saw a ghost, like the whole episode. There was like existential crisis look on your face.
Do you know when you love something, like you're so passionate about it, and then it lets you down? That's where I was at.
Yeah,
I was just there.
I could see
and it was all fresh because I'd literally looked as we started recording, and I was just like,
It was painful. I felt bad. I wanted to reach out and give you a hug. Like I just felt bad.
I'm not sure I'd want a hug after all the around you've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's I can't promise anything. But yeah, Bruce mentioned it last week, but it is funny how like a complete role reversal. Like that look on your face was the look that Bruce had last season, and now he's all chipper, and you look like your dog just died or something.
The irony is I'm actually doing well this season. I'm not doing bad per se across so many of my clubs. It's just not as good as it was as an experience. Yeah. But there's lots of positives still to say, and the best thing about currently with MFL is the season is almost finished. That's the best thing about the season.
Is it Tuesday night it ends, yeah? Tuesday?
Wednesday's last game. Wednesday's last games, and rewards being distributed on Thursday. Does anyone know if they're doing what they did last season with Holiday Heroes, where they'll open the store shortly after awards? We're not waiting until after rollover because they've got the ability now to anything minted then doesn't age until the end of next season. Does anyone know? So I haven't found any confirmation of that.
I think so. When they announced it last week, it sounded like that was going to be the new go forward way of them doing things.
I thought so. I just couldn't find anything that sort of confirmed it for me. So I was curious. See what the chat's saying if anybody else is doing it. Yeah, it's confirmed it, Dan. I'll see. Yeah, nice. Sound.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Who have we got in the chat? We got Zoo, Hoodwink, Dan, Ricky, Andrew in there and here. Nice. Double teaming yourself there. Kev, Rory, Jacob. Nice. I like saying it was difficult for everyone.
Liverpool on.
I know.
I appreciate the commitment, Kev. And Dan too. Was Dan on?
Yeah, Dan was in there too. Yeah.
I have no idea how the match is going, so good luck to you. And I'm sorry.
It sounded like a good game. I was listening to it as we were sort of before I booted up and stuff. It sounded like a pretty good high intensity game, yeah. Nice. Rather than a sort of a cagey affair, it sounded quite open, which sounds good especially if you're neutral.
Cool. Right, so we will do some of our normal pod content, I think, because people will probably want us to do some of it. So we'll do some club check-ins on how our season's sort of like gone, coming up to the last few days left. Is anybody heading into playoffs or relegation battles, still in the cup, maybe a cup final, anything like that? And then, like you say, well, then maybe after that we'll think about see how long that takes. Maybe after that we might do the snail race,
Ooh.
snails race, whichever one it is, snail or snails, doesn't matter. And see if we can get that working, see if that all goes to crap, or works or doesn't work.
Well, no, it works if Kev wins.
That's true. It's quite cool actually because when I was messing around with it this morning, I was on this website and there's like loads of different games you can do. So you could there's like snails, robots, monsters, all sorts of things. Egg and
That's
spoon.
cool.
It's like mad. It's so much cool stuff. Like ones for Christmas and Halloween and all those kind of funky ones as well. But on the snails one, there's like you can do slow and fast. And my God, slow. Like the time's still a minute or two, right? But slow is like uber slow, and fast is like crazy fast. So we'll see whichever one we want to do. We'll probably do the fast one just to watch it because it would be really crap otherwise.
Probably a good
Well, we
idea.
normally offer our guests to go first on the sharing of how their seasons going and where they are and stuff like that. So I will try and press my little Stream Deck button to you and see if we get a transition or not.
Let's find out.
All
I'm
right.
watching on
And
YouTube.
if we do, then that's the second tick in the box. Well, obviously we will late.
It's worked.
Oh.
It's worked.
Oh, it's working beautiful.
Come on.
All right.
How did he do that?
This is
I
nice.
know.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
But if this works really well, then Mr. K, we can always do this for our actual instead of Riverside because we could probably share better and do things like that and do some cool stuff. So we'll see.
Cool.
Excellent.
Anyway,
right, so-
Andrew, go
Yeah,
for it.
so it's been a largely positive season for me. So I have 8 clubs right now. Really, 7 of them are mine. This brass boot is licensed owned by Bob Orangefly, that I'm running for him, and the team is about half and half, my players and his players. So kind of starting from the bottom. This is a relatively, but it is a new license. I bought it last off season, really just to put my shitter. So not even playing my best players because my best players tend to be my oldest guys. So this one is really just there to get some progression. Had some decent progression, and I know we kind of had the progression showcased earlier, but I just want to highlight one guy who just keeps going up every day. And I bought this dude for $1 before the season started. And
Nice.
part of the reason I bought him was because he barely played in his first season, and then he was on a team in his second season, but didn't play a single game, but he tier broke. I was like, all right, for $1, this seems like a good bet. Only 24, and he just got another +1 today, so he keeps taking off. Who knows how long that will continue, but definitely met
It's
the
nice
goal
for
of
those
this.
really cheap ones, isn't it? Those ones
Yeah.
you just take a punt on and think, can it go anywhere?
Yeah, and I've had a few, and some have had decent luck, but this one promising. We'll see what carries on from there. But that accomplished the goal of this license, which is really just to kind of farm some folks. Overall, the progression wasn't great, but good enough for some of those folks. Gonna go a little bit out of order here, just kind of the way I think about my clubs. I wish we could reorder this because like my next lowest one is this Spark team, and this Spark team was a team that should not have been promoted from Flint last time. My goal for this one was just to kind of avoid relegation, and it's gone pretty well. So not going to make a playoff, but I really just want to land mid-table and have that be comfortable. So this is going pretty well. Got some decent progression there. So happy with how this one has turned out. Next Spark license. This is another one where I had no intention of promoting it. It was kind of just hang around mid-table. I think they were projected 4th or 5th. And I'm all the way up to 2nd, and I'm actually locked into that 2nd seed now, which is great because I can rest. And the interesting thing about this one is you'll recognize the 9th team here. This is our showcase here for the Tactics Corner today. So luckily for him, I have him in the last game, and I'll probably just be rotating players in these 2 matches to get ready for the playoff. And like I said, I wasn't trying to push this one up to ice, so if it gets there, all the better. But perfectly fine with whatever happens there in the playoffs. Next one up, this Miraflores license. So this was my 2nd ever license, and this has been a team that's lived in ice really since I first got it. So another one that was kind of projected, I think 5th to start the year. I was just kind of hoping to push for a playoff spot, and I've been hanging around 1st and 2nd pretty much all year until I got crushed by that 1st place team. This team loaded up at the midseason break. I think they had 3 big signings, and that's really propelled him. He's gone on a tear in the second half of the season. So he's pushed forward. I don't think I'm going to catch him now. I have a matchup today that I think I should win, and then tomorrow I play against the 2nd place team. So hoping I can stick into that second seed and try to push into Stone. Again, another one that I wasn't trying to get this one promoted, but if it does, all the better. So happy with that one. This license, this is my Lisbon license that I got a couple seasons ago. I just missed out on getting promoted last season, and as I was preparing kind of through the end of last season for this season, I was preparing for this to be a Stone team, and I fell just short. I think I lost the second place matchup, and then made it to the final round. That final round was against a very strong Stone team that just kind of slacked off for most of the year, and I just didn't win that one. So I kept with that Stone team because I really wanted to push this one up, and as you can see, it's gone pretty well. I was actually projected second in this one. There was an even stronger team, but I was happy with how this one's gone out. So now nothing to play for. However, hoping to just kind of close out a perfect record here. So we'll see how these last 3 matches go.
Undefeated after 19. That is incredible.
Yeah, I think this team, Ramble Rumble, it was stronger, but
wow,
like some fitness issues kind of brought it down, and that's the matchup I have today. This license, the League Slip Mustangs, is SUFC Blades' team. I don't think it's a particularly strong team for this league, and it wasn't last year. And last year he made the playoff. I think I beat him in the second round of the playoff, and then this year I think I played him in the opening match. He gave me a hard time. So underpowered team that he just always seems to do well with, and he's already blocked up pretty much that second seed. So good luck to him.
Still playing the 4-2-4, is he?
No, him?
Yeah.
For me, he's run a 4-3-3-A, and if you look at his team, actually this is a bad example because he rotated against me here. But his team doesn't really have any particularly strong forwards. So let's just pick this one. Like one of them is an out of position winger that's a 65, and this is the team that he rolls with. Like it's not a particularly strong team, but he gets results. And this is how it was last season too. Last season, I think I finished just above him in the standings. But each match we played was a battle that went down to the end. And then the first game of the year, it was a very tight matchup that I barely won. So he has this team humming. He's figured it out even with this new engine. So
are they all pacey players? Because that's one thing I noticed in the lower leagues in particular. If you're stacking pace in the lower leagues, you will kill teams.
Yeah, I mean 46 shooting for your right winger, but 91 pace, which even with the -5, that's still very pacey. 77 and 60. Yeah, so the forward. I don't know if this is a starting forward or not, but still a 76 striker in ice will do well. Yeah. So this is an interesting one. This one kind of once I got knocked out of the cup, it was more just about can I finish the season without dropping any points. But this one's been a comfortable ride for all the season. Next one up here is Providence Harbor. So this is my hometown team. This is my 3rd season now, and they've been Jekyll and Hyde for the past 2 seasons. Like they just, I don't know what I'm going to get out of them in any single match. Like here, I played against the 11th place team, and it was a draw, 0-0. And the first time I played him was a 3-3 draw. So this whole league has been wacky. I have in 19 games, I've won 8 of them, and I'm still hanging around second, but it's very, very tight. So I can finish in second, or I can finish in 6th. And we'll see kind of how the last one goes. Tomorrow is the big matchup here with Space Pirates. There was a question that we have waiting for me from this team, so I won't spoil it there. But hopefully I can finish into a playoff spot and push into Iron. But that would be a nice to have. I think this was not a particularly strong team for this league, but once I'm here, I don't want to let it slip. So be a tight finish for this one. Then Brass Boot. This has been a fun one. So this is the league I'm in with Bruce, with James, and with Snake. Among others. So this has been a tight battle all throughout the season. I think my first matchup with Bruce, we tied 0-0 in a matchup that didn't really have much going on. I tried to neutralize some of his more potent players, and it just resulted in a 0-0 match where no one really did anything. And I play him tomorrow. So that could end up being the title decider. It really comes down to today. So I have a 5-point lead now, but my next 2 matches are against the 2 teams that are behind me here. So depending on these 2 go, it could end up being a poor couple days for me, but if I get it done today, I feel pretty good. I think the last game is against the 11th place team, so it could be that the title gets decided in our matchup tomorrow, but it's also possible it ends today. So hopefully that one goes well. But it's been a fun league playing with these guys. It's strange because even though I've been active in the Rambo community and your community for a while, I've even with all these different teams that I've had, I've never really been in any leagues with people that I know. And it seems like between the various cups I've been in and in this league, there were a bunch of places where I was matching off against other people from the community. So it's been fun actually getting to know who you're playing against. So hopefully this one ends well. And then this is the last one. This has been my struggle. this is my main club. I've gotten them, I think they've won 3 out of the last 4 leagues that I've been in. They've promoted very quickly. I started them in season 5 in Spark, and they've gone up and up. And I've usually tried to target every time I get promoted to be somewhere in like the 8 range in terms of 7 or 8 in terms of team strength, with the idea being I almost always outperform my projections. And that way I can kind of be mid-table. They were 9th, and I just got them 9th in the projections in terms of team strength. I just got them into this 8th place spot. I've had a much better second half of the year. Going into the midseason break, I was 11th. I only had 10 points. So I've turned it around, but it's going to be a very tight finish. So today is a huge matchup. It's the team 1 point behind me. And the issue that I have is this Ball for Life team is facing this team today and this team tomorrow. And this team is an automatic win. I think they just have like the league minimum for strength across the board. It was a license that was purchased before the season. So he has at least 3 points in the bag, if not 6. So like I'm treating this team as if it's going to be above me. So I really need to make sure that I win or at a minimum tie today against this Mugiwara team to ensure that I can stay up. So it's made it difficult in terms of planning for next season because I don't know where this team is going to land. So I'm hoping I'm still in bronze, and I want to plan to have that team there and start looking out for loans for this team. But with the potential of this going back down to iron, it kind of throws everything for a loop. And then the same thing for that Providence team, not knowing if that's going to make it up to iron and having the potential for 2 to 3 stone teams. It's kind of made this top half of my period a bit difficult in terms of team planning and trying to figure out what I want to do next season. So be an interesting few days here. Overall, I'm happy, especially if I can keep this team up. I will have been very proud of this season, finishing either first or second in most of these leagues, at least the ones that I care about. But this is kind of the one that I'm riding on the most. This is the one that I really want to make sure I just survive and stick into bronze for another season.
Was that your first season you started in season 5? Was that when you first started?
Yeah, I bought this club in, I think it was late season 4. It was a newly purchased club pack that had only been entered into the Redemption Cup, and the Redemption Cup just ended. So when I bought this team, I had players in it, but there were no matches to play. So season 5 was its inaugural season in Spark, since there was no Flint back then. I think I got promoted the first season out of second place. Second season, I just missed out on the playoff. And then from there, I won the title almost every season. And the ones I did, and I was like the 2 seed. So I'm used to doing really well with this team. So this season, I don't know if it's just the strength of this league or the players that I put on this team, that something's been different about this season that's been very grueling. Like I'm not used to going through this much pain trying to get this team up. I don't know if it's the engine, but I'm just praying I can keep this one up because I'm not used to having to scrap just to stay in the league.
Did this team play totally different to your other teams? Because obviously across the board you're having pretty good success this season, but do these play completely different? Or?
It does, and well, in the tactics corner, there's a remark that I'm going to make in terms of testing out this 4-3-3A. This one I play a 4-3-3A, a 4-3-3D, and a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, which I've tried to replicate in other teams. And then yesterday, playing against the third place team, this is the first time I used a 4-1-4-1 just to kind of offset his much stronger team. This was actually a pretty balanced game, even though the XG doesn't show that. So I was happy to have gotten a draw out of it. But what I found was really across the board, any formations that I use across teams, the tactics I have set up for them are all very different. And I've never had to do that. Typically, I take one and I tweak it very minorly for individual instructions based on certain strengths. This one, I feel like every time I've tried to bring it over to a new team and run it, it just doesn't work. And I've had to completely start from scratch with every single team. And this particular team, and I don't know if it's just the composition of the attributes of the players, they've underperformed in all of my testing. Like I can't, no matter what formation I've tried, my wide mids are not good defensively. So like it's really scrapped a lot of those types of formations. And the rest of my team, I just really can't get humming. So I found some stuff that worked in the midseason break, but even then, like I feel like it worked just to kind of play up to my level. And I'm usually able to kind of get them performing a little bit stronger than its level. And this one I just haven't been able to when the other teams I have. So I don't know what it is about this team. It just doesn't want to click this season.
Have you started doing any tactic testing for next season with this team yet? Or are you just waiting for it to get further along on the patches and stuff?
The latter. Part of it is just I'm distracted with just trying to do what I can with these teams, and part of it is just knowing that it's going to change a lot. And this team in particular, I have 47% loan share. I just don't have a lot of players at the bronze level, so I know that even if I stick in bronze, next season's team is going to be much different. So this one, I wouldn't even focus too much on my testing. I would probably focus on some of the other ones where I know there's going to be more consistency in the roster from season to season.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. To try and transition us back. I think we've got a solid lad in the chat jumping in between half time. Is it nil? Do we know the score? Is it still 0-0? Nil? I don't know.
I don't know, actually. I've not been keeping an eye on it. What's nosy? What are we looking at? 0-0, half time.
Yep, 0-0. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Zoop's still in the chat. Do you want to go next, Mr. K, to show us about, try and be a bit positive in terms of how things are going for you?
I ain't promising
Probably have
shit.
to be a full screen thing or whatever it was you had to do.
Yeah, just let me know when you. Are we on me now? Right,
Yeah,
1 second. Let's full screen it. How's that looking?
Oh, it's all right. Yeah, we can deal with that.
Yeah, let's do it. Right then, so we won't bother with anything ice downwards. Oh, Yorkshire XP.
Yeah, maybe bother with them.
Well, we'll jump in with them. So I've changed up the tactic from mid-season, and honestly, some of these losses we're getting stung, like stung in terms of variance in terms of the game. Is this one example? Yeah, we lost this game 1-0. They keep it playing a 9. So we moved to a 3-5-2-B. What I have just realised from doing this, going full screen, I haven't got my option to go back on my tab now because I've got all this shite in the way. So that's not going to work. We don't want that. Let's move back this way. So yeah, at the moment though, going into the last game of the season, we're playing two teams in the bottom part of the table, 7th and 8th. 3. We've got 7th, 8th, and 11th in the last 3 games of the season, and we're not far away from being where we need to be in the playoff picture and stuff. But of all the seasons to try a weird and wonderful formation, this was not it at all. At all.
We do probably need the chat chucking in some, comments around forfeits and things like that, probably like you did for me.
I don't care. Like genuinely, like yours was on a good engine. But
no, we're not in the engine section yet.
Oh, we are. If I'm doing the pod, we're in the engine section. But
really quickly on Yorkshire, you're saying that the formation was difficult. Was that by necessity based on the players that you brought in, or were you trying to do something? Yeah,
I deliberately created I'd done so many different tactics over the course of the last couple of seasons on the engine, pre-season testing on the beta build of this season's engine. I was like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, because I've got a lot of teams. I was like, I don't want to just stick to the same staple formations. I want to try something a bit different. Let's try a formation that I've always think looked cool. I like the idea. I've never tried it, and I used to have it was a pain to deal with, which was the 3-4-3 diamond. Cannot get it to work this season. Start of the season, I think we were catching teams out because it was like, what the fuck's this? But then people cottoned on and worked out. Once I got beaten a couple of times with a specific formation, which I think was the 4-1-4-1 in particular, suddenly I found most teams were running a 4-1-4-1 against me. So I had to change it up mid-season, move to the 3-5-2-B, and honestly, in terms of all the games that we've lost the second half of the season, we've been the better team statistically for the lion's share of them, but it is what it is. So yeah, hoping that we can sort of win out the end of the season, but you just don't know. We played the top of the league last night. Was that even a close game? I can't remember. I used to go in really depth in all my league games and stuff, but now I don't really bother all that much. Not really. I think that's a fairly even-ish kind of game. They created more chances, I guess. They were great. They've had 9 shots and less than 0.9 XG, so the low XG chances. Yeah, it's okay. Any whoozy. Let's jump up to the Dow team that I'm running. Brutal season this has been. There's been so many draws. Where are we? We're down here. We've got a chance of sticking the league. We've got 3 games left, but as I recall, we're playing second from bottom. Is it tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow. We've got 6th tonight in the league, and we've got 4th in the final game of the season. It's been a brutal season for all the Dow teams, to be fair. We lost a lot of players that would have been available to the Dow going into this season, so it's been quite tricky.
Was that the B-sellers sell-off?
B-sellers sold off a lot of his players and stuff. I mean, we've not lost as many games as some people down here, but we've drawn so many games, and there's been so many tight games where you're just getting really frustrated by how the sort of game plays out and stuff, and it's one of them. This was ranked 12 out of 12, so it's not like a massive shock that we're where we are. And the primary purpose of me being the Dow and running this team is trying to progress some of the players in terms of who they have available, give them game time to hopefully then step up into the higher place teams.
Do you
Silver
think
team,
you'll have to recalibrate as a DAO next season?
I imagine
Like
so
that-
to some
yeah.
extent. As to what extent, I don't know. There'll probably be some sort of voting around it. I actually posted in the DAO chat last night and just sort of said, look, it's not over, but it looks like the realistic perspective of this is we're going to get relegated. I'm happy to continue in gold next season and stuff. However, if someone else wants to throw the hat in the ring or they want to review who's managing what, I'm totally chill with that. I won't be offended, basically. And to be honest, everyone's been super positive about it because it's one of those where I have to sit and reset a little bit. But I think everyone in the DAO has found, again, there's a lot of big players in the DAO, obviously, across the entirety of MFL. Everyone's kind of reiterating what I've been saying for a long time about this engine. Any hoozy, let's not stick on the engine all the time. Silver team, yeah, it's been rough, been really, really rough in some of these games. I remember some of the games where I've done extensive testing on various bits and they got right really solid and they rock up to the game and they just shit the bed. Strength of team, competitive, not great. It's more bronze level ish, like a good bronze team, maybe pushing for promotion sort of level sort of team. It's the weakest silver side that I've had since we've started this. So it's been a bit of a struggle bus. Kind of locked into certain formations that I wanted to play that went to shit launching the season, but not ideal on that one. Keto, yeah. Last night we got absolutely fisted by this team, and I was like, "Who the hell? Who are these guys? Oh, they're where are they now? There they are. I think it's that one, isn't it? No, they were down. They were around there. They were in this relegation playoff spot, and they beat us 1-0 last night, and they thumped us. I was just like, "What the friggin' hell is going on here?" I didn't have a clue what's going on there. It looks fairly locked in at this point for playoffs with this team. It's not guaranteed. I'm not too concerned about how that one sort of shakes out. Again, just trying to progress some of the players that are in there. I'm actually doing a massive reshape of my agency at the moment. I've been selling off quite a few players and stuff. Go through the Stone teams quickly. Grenoble's top of the league. I think this is league title pretty much wrapped up. I think it's an 11-team league. Yeah, 11-team leagues. 2 games left for me to play. I'm currently 7 points clear. It's not entirely done, but it's pretty much there now. Axis, I think these have actually had a bit of a second season turnaround. Yeah, we're sitting up in 4th. Chance of a playoff spot. In terms of a Stone team, it's not a particularly strong Stone team, really, comparative to some of them, but doing okay in that one. Owls, are they in the cup final? No, one of my teams is in the cup final. I can't remember which one. Sitting 3rd at the moment, joint 3rd, but it's quite tight at the top here. Sort of just been I haven't done the teams from Stone up yet for tonight, so I need to think about who's playing in those games. My Leeds license down here. League's pretty much wrapped up now. A lot of draws recently. A lot of draws. But yeah, that's that? 9 points clear with 3 games left to play.
Surely
yeah,
you're champions there.
Yeah, pretty much there. I'm playing bottom of the league tonight. Then I've got 4th, and then I've got 6th. I think it's like one more result away from being there, and that's also with these teams sort of winning out their remaining fixtures. So it looks pretty much locked in, and I've got a nice healthy goal difference as well. So that was pretty much locked in. The Wolves, been stung a few times in this one. Yeah, we lost to the team below us in the league last night. Quite a bit stronger than them. We've got a positive goal difference, which is like no one down here really does have a positive goal difference. What the hell was going on last night? No idea. We were sort of around here mid-season, and we've slowly sort of been slumping down to here. So it's quite congested still. As you can see, what we are, what's that? 8 points from 3rd. It's a very congested league from this point onwards. Apart from this team that apparently are getting pumped every game. What's that? 1 goal, 64 conceded. I actually just had a look at them, and I didn't think they were that bad a Stone team in terms of strength of squad.
Yeah.
It must have been because I've got that thing on where it does that plugin where it shows me opposition players and stuff, like recent fixtures and stuff, and it must have pulled up a different one because it does that. Sometimes it bugs out. So yeah, looking to playing bottom of the league tonight. I was having a look at that. We're playing 5th, and then we're playing 3rd. Win tonight's fixture and try and get a result in one of these 2 games should stay up. I'm hoping so, because it should be strong enough, this team, really, to stay in stone, you would think. But I think of all the seasons to sort of tie myself into a formation, this was probably the worst season to do that in. I never usually do it to that extent, but it was supposed to be 4-2-3-1, 4-2-2, 4-1-2-1-2, and 3-5-2-B. And the only other formation I could get working in any capacity is 3-5-2-B, but it's very volatile. 4-2-3-1 was consistent, but not exactly great. And then the other ones I just couldn't get working at all. And I've said before, I actually went back and had a bit of a look, like just rough ballparking it, how many test games I've ran this season. This is the most tested engine I've ever tested on. And even now, we're almost into the season, I've still not got a handle on what works in this engine.
I'm the same way. I've never run so many, particularly with my top team, because I was just doing everything in my power to keep them up. And it's just, it's hard, not to turn this into an engine chat, but it's hard because the volatility and the range of results that could happen, and even in terms of how the game is playing out, is so wide that when you change a tactic to try to figure out if it's working, you don't really know, because it changes so much from game to game. So I've ended up running large swaths of friendlies of the same tactic over and over and over again, and just trying to compare batches. So that's been my approach to it. But it's been tough. Like every night I've been running just like dozens of friendlies, just trying to figure out how to get this to work. And I still don't feel confident in anything I've rolled out there, pretty much.
Yeah. I don't roll into any game thinking, I feel like I've got this locked in. I know this is going to work. And I've not even, I mean, I went through it when we had that particular podcast episode route where I did that little like presentation trying to get all my thoughts coherently together. And the data substantiated what I was experiencing when I pulled up all the data in terms of just the wide variance. Just statistically, the range of data that you were seeing was just far exceeds any other previous engine build. And I've got seasons worth of data because I do these tests all the time. It is what it is. Again, some people love this engine.
I think, yeah. Well, we'll probably touch on the engine when we come to the other bit, because I think a few of us have been, well, I've certainly been testing the next engine as well. Just try and pull out a few things in the chat that have come in. I think Jimbo's here, so evening Jimbo. And I think before that I saw Rory's asking for Super Bowl predictions. This is probably one for you, Andrew, even though you're likely to be biased.
I think we have a question in the community question section about that.
Do we? Okay, well, we'll wait.
Yeah, Hama's asked.
That's fine.
Yeah, cool. Rory, wait. Stop being so impatient.
I have strong opinions on this one. You'll find out shortly.
And then I think he just said that he brought in some extra cams and stuck to 4-3-3A as well in the mid-season. And to be fair, I think that we've obviously been testing 4-3-3A, which will come on to Tactics Corner. Now, obviously, I've been doing it on the experimental engine just because of the way the training center works, and I've really enjoyed watching it, to be fair, for next season. I quite like next season's engine at the minute, but we'll get to that. Right, let's have a look, see if I can get it to bring up my stuff, which looks like it is. So I'll ignore these sort of ones at the bottom, probably, apart from maybe these guys having quite a good season. I was quite surprised. All these teams pretty much are just running plays for progression, these bottom 4 teams, but I really liking how these teams play in. I mean, they're not outside chance of the playoffs, but I kind of need a team in Flint. So if they go up, I'm kind of going to have no team in Flint, which is not what I need. So it's always difficult. I want them to go up because that'd be great. But equally, if they do, then I kind of probably need someone else to come down, or I need to go and buy some Flint teams. Which
was this your first season with this team?
Yeah, this is my first season with all these 4 here. The first season with these 4.
Yeah. It's tough with the Flint. Like I mentioned, that other team that I wasn't supposed to try to get out of Flint. I did last time, and then it just put me in a hole where I was like, all right, now I got to go get a Flint license, because I really do want to play these like 47 and 48 rated players, and it doesn't make sense to do that in Spark. So it's like every time you accidentally get one of these promoted, you have to go and backfill it with another license.
Get another license.
Better for that.
And that's it, because like you say, like I enjoy watching them to win, but at the same time, I would like to have ideally 2 Flint, 2 Spark.
I've got a solution. I've got a solution. It's club delegation. That's what you do. You don't have to invest in a license then. You just borrow a license. You loan it in from someone. And this is the angle I'm working on with mine. Is like when Truss was talking through his, he wants someone to run clubs with his players. I'm like, here's a club. You can use my players if you want, but you can put your own players in. I don't care. Use your own players. Use whatever you want. Just use my license. And that's sort of the angle I'm working from, because I want to try and differentiate myself. So you can just do that route. You can just. Are you going to go
through a bit of that when we've gone through the teams? I won't mind you. I know you put some in our Discord. I think it'd be quite cool to run through what your thought process is on that after.
Yeah, of course. I've crunched the numbers.
I think that'd be really good to do.
Yeah.
Right. Did a good job with that, kind of laying it all out. The one question I have there, and we can get more into the overall strategy, but in terms of delegation at the Flint level, like Flint seems to serve a specific purpose. If you have a Flint license, it's generally because you have common players that you want playing time. Yep. Do you foresee there being a lot of Flint licenses available for delegation where you can put your own players in there? Because it almost seems to defeat the purpose.
That was sort of my, in terms of like work and what I've done strategy and business for a long time, and I'm always looking for, okay, what's the USP? Like what is your unique angle, selling point? That means why we go to you. And that's what I did with approaching this. That's why I sat down and looked at all the numbers in terms of MFL potential earnings, etc., minimum expectations, what rev share would look like, make it worth the other person doing it. But the problem that most people have is, I've got these players, I've got nowhere to play them. So it's either spend 40, 50. Realistically, it's pushing up to 50 now, more often than it isn't. You're going to spend $50 to place some commons that you hope will get somewhere. If someone else has already got the license and you're loaning it in, and you get a little bit of MFL from doing it, and you got somewhere to play your players, I'm getting the MFL, which is what I want to use it for primarily. I've always got somewhere I can chuck players, because the realistic nature is not all my clubs are going to go. You'd be used in this capacity, but you get what you need, I get what I need, and we both get a little bit of a pat on the back in terms of the MFL learning at the end of the season. That's the way I'm viewing it, because it is a slog running that many clubs and rotating. I'm not trusting in terms of how he's got his setup, because that's just too far for me. But my high progressing players that I've identified from this season, because I'm not going to buy anything less than what I'm now identifying as what I would invest in terms of players. But I've identified who my high potential players are that are progressing, so I'll make sure they've got somewhere to play and make sure they play them. Everyone else, see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be a game changer. I mean, I'm at 8 now, and I might not be at capacity, but I'm close in terms of like how much attention I want to put into these. Then I just see other big agencies with huge clubs, and I'm a little bit salty on this one, because that team that I was talking about that's behind me in the table, that Ball for Life team, they played against the strongest team in the league by team strength yesterday. That's a scrub team that had only changed his players out at the beginning of the season and then at midseason. I played him when he was at full strength at the beginning of the season, and I lost. And then players at the end of the first half of the season got a win out of him. I played him in the first game of the second half of the season when he rotated his players. I was able to get, I think, a draw out of it. But now this game was the first time where his players started to dip into the yellow yesterday, and Ball for Life beat him 5-3. It was like I'm neck and neck with this guy trying to avoid relegation. And just based on the timing of when I'm playing him, he got a win out of it and I didn't. So I'm just like, I'm salty. I'm like, I want those bigger agencies to have them properly managed. So hopefully the club delegation will start to remove some of those oddities out of the game.
Yeah, I think Rory just said the same. He deals with the same in his league as to what you're just describing there. I mean, I do I kind of like start the season. I don't rotate for 2 or 3 games, and then start my rotation. And then at the end of the season, unless I'm going in the playoffs, I don't rotate for the last 3 or 4. But in the middle, there's quite a lot of rotation going on in there. But yeah, I think it's just the way it lands, maybe. But yeah, it is awkward for you if you're facing them at full strength and someone else is getting an easy buy, really. But
I'm like, this sucks.
So I could end up with 4 Spark teams, because this Ice team I bought just because of the license, really. They're never going to stay in Ice. They're not good enough. So they were always going to Spark. And then I expected these guys to relegate to Flint. So then I would have had what I described as 2 Flint, 2 Spark. But I don't think either of these Spark teams are showing that they're looking to go down. So they're probably just about safe. And I think these are pretty much just about safe. Yeah, so they're not going to go down to Flint, and this Flint team is trying to get up. Obviously, this team I explained, they should be finishing pretty much rock bottom. They're the worst team in the league, so they're not an Ice team. I didn't want them to be an Ice anyway. Just got the license there, But these four, I actually care about something happening with. So these guys not going to get in the playoffs now. Can't get dragged into relegation. They'll stay where they are, but they are in a cup final, which is quite nice.
That's nice.
Which was just I don't really target cup or league. All my players are very very similar in rating, as I've said on previous pods when we've recorded. You know my central defensive midfielder and is the person that rotates in, and with the centre mids and central defensive midfielder, a couple of OVRs different or so, and their actual player ratings are very similar. I'm quite structured with how I do things, so rotation to me is never a disadvantage. I just the ones that rotate in and play less are usually older than the ones that maybe play the more games. That's probably the only difference. So they'll just stay in ice next season, which I'm fine with. So if everybody else stays about the same, they'll probably keep the same squad.
I do find
Out,
having players of roughly the same ratings shaves off a significant amount of prep time because you're not
yeah,
hemming and hawing over do I
yeah,
save this player for this game, and it makes it a lot easier when you can just swap in an equally rated player,
yeah.
and obviously they're all a little bit different, but it takes some of the discomfort out of
Mm-hmm.
trying to plan for future matches.
Yeah, so I don't exactly. So like, I mean, I do have like what I would class as my starting 11. So like on this team again, they could go down. Hopefully they don't, but they've got a cup final as well. So I do have like what I would class. And I'll just demo it on this team. Like this is what I would believe is probably like my strongest 11. You know, looking at individual stats, say for argument's sake, for each of these players. But as you can see, in terms of the OVR for the starters, they range from like taking out this guy who's a bit of an oddity, but they're like 67 to 70. There's nothing
Yeah,
in that at all.
yeah,
And to be fair, even the game time, they all get, by the time we get to the end of the season, these 15s will reach probably 18, and these 18s might reach 19 or 20. So everybody will get about 18 games, except for these ones at the bottom. Like this guy came on loan at half season, so that's different. My backup keeper, he'll get to 10. And then my left back and right backs usually get to around about 10 to 12, just to like, depending on how deep you go in the cup. So no one will get less than 10 generally. Probably a bad example on this one because I did bring like somebody in the half season, but you get the point. Like I'll still get everybody rotating in with enough games, which is why I don't want to have to worry about the drop because I know I could play them for longer because if you look at the energy, they're all still quite high. But again, I don't know how much impact energy has. Some of them are a little bit lower. I know it's only when you get below 90 it probably really matters. But I just have this thing where I like to try and keep them as high fitness as I can, which when substitutions come in, that'll probably help with some of that as well as people are rotating in and out during matches. But yeah, it does make life so much easier. But you are right. You do get people that like they are can be totally different. So like I think this guy that playing over here's got like 82 passing, but the guy that'll like sub in for him has probably got like 74. So there is a difference, but not a massive difference. But then he might defend better. So I will
yeah.
rotate maybe probably. I think I'm doing the two like the core best players, like 4 or 5 core best players on my team. I probably rest in here, but playing here. But then the rest of it will be just normal rotation, like you said. But that's only because we got to a final. Generally through the season, I just rotate just as it comes up. Rum lads always destined to go down. Predicted rock bottom. That I wasn't. I shifted them out being my priority as soon as Dockside got the like crazy promotion to Stone, which was unexpected. I am starting to think though that I'm not daring to dream, but there's a chance that I could end up with a gap because Dockside are not that far out of the playoffs. They're 3 points. Obviously, got Monkey tonight, which will be a difficult game because he's very OP in the league. And then we've got a game here against someone lower than us, and then a game here against someone just above us. So, like, we have an outside chance of the playoffs. Now, if we got promoted, I wouldn't go and get another club just to fill in the stone, but I probably need to get seriously better players, I would imagine, to play in the next division up because I think some of these boys would be okay, but a lot of these lower boys probably not okay for the next division up. So some of those sort of like 79s to 83s could probably try and battle relegation in the next division up. But certainly those like 75, 76s and even some of those 77s, even though they say 77 OVRs, I wouldn't class them as a good 77, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I could end up with a gap in this division, which would mean that I'd probably put a lot of these players back in the Rum Lads to try and get them back into Stone, and
Yeah.
then have to go out and bring some players into here or however that pans out. But
The gap is
overall, I'm
tough.
I'm not too happy.
It's
I'm quite happy. Go on.
sorry, I was saying the gap is tough, and that's what happened with my main club, where I was an iron for one season, and I started buying more on the older side, but some iron level players. I wasn't. I think I was projected relatively low, but then unexpectedly won that league, and then it created a gap where that one was in bronze, and then my next one was in stone. That's how I ended up with that brass boot license. I was talking to Bob about it, and he was like, "Hey, I have this iron team." Because I had all these players that were in between, and I was like, they're too strong for stone, but they're not going to be able to compete in bronze. So like, what do I do with them? So that helped fill the gap, but it's tough when you have a big gap in players that kind of fit in between, and you can't really use them too well in either league.
Yeah, definitely. And I think rare's probably my limit of where I want to invest in players. So I'd much, if Dockside by some miracle did get in that playoff spot and did go up, I'd want to keep the bulk of these players, even if they're fighting relegation, and even if we came back down. I know that'll hit hard on their match ratings, but like these players in this team, that a chunk of them are progressing quite good. Like I'll just jump back over. Like they're not amazing, but across all time, like they have got some decent progression. So I don't want to, like I'd rather just harness that, even if they're battling relegation in the next division, because some of those could end up obviously tier breaking, and then obviously I may as well do that. Certainly, like some of these guys, they've got really good wave. They're not like slowing down. I think you know what I mean. So like I don't want to then lose that. So I think that would be my plan, even if it meant I came back down. I still think I'd try and just keep this team and see if the progression just being in that next league, even if match region takes a hit. Because to go up and try and get some of the next level up players, that's either I'm going to have to loan them all in, or there's some severe cost implications there. Whereas at the minute, I've got more than enough players to run in all the clubs I've got. I'm quite happy with where they are. Yeah, I want to get promoted, but then it's just that thing about I got to get used to maybe what a relegation fight feels like and try and take away, like, if we stayed up, that's as good as getting promoted from the division below. It's just getting your mind around that, isn't it? Because we all want championship titles, but avoiding relegation, if you're predicted near the bottom, is still just as big of achievement, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of it comes down to how much of the loan share you've given up too. Like that, my Lusitania team that I'm fighting with now, I have a 47% loan share that I'm giving out. So it's like I'm giving up nearly half my revenue to to go at the bottom of the table, which is not the best.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give any rev share away at all across any of my clubs because obviously pretty much they're all my players. The only time I bring somebody in is like I've got some of Zoot's players, but that's just if you want a home for them, and I'll like look, I'll try and look after them for you. I think I've got a couple of Bruces because he wanted them to have a home, but other than that, I don't. But I have said to the boys even on previous pods that if I do go higher, then I would have no choice, right? I'd have no choice to do it. But yeah. Have we got anything happening in the chat? Let's have a look. Apparently you've been sent an offer, Mr. K.
He
by
has.
Rory.
Rory's looking to get banned. He's desperate.
Oh, okay.
He's desperate to get banned by me, blocked by me. Sorry, for offers. Of which actually it's probably worth doing, isn't it? He never sends me actually a reasonable offer, so there's actually no reason not to block him.
No. Yeah, just give him a block. No
Can
problem.
you unblock someone if you block someone? That's the bit
Never
I wasn't
block
sure
somebody,
about.
to be honest.
I have now. I was daring someone to do it. Rory tried first. I thought Rory he's too eager. You can't give in too easily. But some other person was being an absolute clown, so I was like, right, okay, block.
I don't go in my inbox that often, to be fair, because like the only thing that's going to go in there is offers for players. I'm not interested in selling anybody, even if you're giving me way above the market price. I'm probably not going to let them go. I get quite attached to, or I know all my players. I literally know them all, as in like
come around for tea.
Yeah, come around for tea, Christmas Day. But you know what I mean? I know the names. I know what they're good at, what they're not good at. I get quite attached to all that. So like, if an offer came in, I'm probably just not going to accept it. And then the other thing that really goes in there is like you've got someone suspended, and well, I'll see that when I go to do my rotation. To be fair, so I don't go in my inbox that often. I just go in, press the little thing, and press archive, and just all just disappears. So if anybody is offering me for a player and they're really desperate for something, then you probably want to send me a Discord message because I'm certainly not going to probably see it in my inbox. Cool. I was going to do the racing, but I think I'll leave that a little bit. Maybe just wait till the football gets over and done with as well, because we might have a few people that come in around quarter past, 20 past when the football's done. So we probably can go into
Oh, it's
the
0-0.
top.
Surely they should turn off. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
turn it
0-0
off.
still. It's no
Turn
point.
it off. Absolutely pointless. So
Yeah.
we're going to cover a couple of things in the topic of the week as such, or whatever you want to call it. So one of the things I was going to do, um, Andrew, is just sort of like get a feel for like you and MFL and obviously Super Bowl and stuff like that. Just get like a bit of a feel for where your journey is on MFL and where you're trying to take it to. And like you say, because you've been on a few pods and trying not like an interview because we're trying to do it as more of a co-hosting thing, but just get a feel for you as part of the three in the team we've got now. Then I was probably just going to jump through and have a quick look and take people through the rewards program for those that maybe have seen the link or haven't seen it or maybe don't understand some of it. Thought maybe Mr. K will maybe probably understand some of that, maybe even better than me, and you might. And then I'd like to just maybe dive into some of Mr. K's idea around club delegation, and then there'll be like our three areas for the topic of the week. And
Sounds
then we'll
good.
probably lead up straight for a nice snail race, and then we'll take it home with a tactics corner and questions pretty much, and that'll probably take us up to that nice 2 hour mark, and then you can go and enjoy your Super Bowl and your hot dog and whatever else you can probably do while you're there. I
That's the
assume
most
hot dog,
American
not
food
trying
you
to be
can think of.
stereotypical.
Yeah. What's the most American food I can think of? Hot dogs.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, well, how did MFL come about? If you've done this on other pods, then just tell me you've done this kind of you've told everybody your story and where you want to go already, because I don't want to have to get you to repeat it all again.
Yeah, I'm not repeating it. I have, but not everybody listens to all of them. So it for me, it was a friend of mine that brought me into it. I was, I think he was someone that was following Blair and had played So Rare, and he had just asked me and a couple friends if we wanted to just go in a team together, and it was an interesting concept. I had always played particularly as a kid, championship manager and then football manager. So the concept of a football managing game was interesting to me, and as I got older and had less time and less interest in the non-tactical aspects of it, I just kind of got bored with it, or I didn't have the patience to go and sit around and deal with made up player gripes about who knows what, and like all of the different aspects of either FIFA or Football Manager that were non-essential to like the actual game itself. I just found that to be too much. So this idea was interesting, right? You build your own teams, you're actually competing against real people, you're setting up tactics. It's a more dynamic type of environment in terms of the roster building and also in terms of how you're actually matching up from game to game. So I got hooked really quickly. So I joined in with him. I think it was mid-March of last year. Within a week or two, I ended up buying this Lusitana Club license. Before season 4 was out, I bought my second license. I was raring to go for season 5, and it's just slowly built up through that. And so as I've built up my agency and through pack drops and value buying, I've just had a need to build out the team. So it's been less about adding teams, but more about adding players and then getting teams to utilize those players, because I haven't really loved the experience of loaning out and losing control over how those players are utilized and their fitness levels and their progression in general. So that's the way I've done it, and I'll probably continue to do it that way. And I keep asking myself what my limit is going to be in terms of how many clubs. Like I said, 8 is kind of where I'm reaching the limit of paying really close attention to all of them. I think if I add, it probably more toward the bottom of the pyramid, since I'll be looking to add more in the agency there. And then at that point, I'll likely, like this Flint club, I don't really care what the results are. The tactics I've taken from other teams, but I haven't worked to test it out and make sure it works for that team. Like I just roll with it, and I get crushed some games, but it's fine because it's not really what I'm looking to get out of it. So that's been my approach, and I've had a lot of enjoyment in speaking to you guys and others, whether it's Kev or James on tactics or game management or other stuff. A lot of the philosophical aspects of this game I've really enjoyed. Even yesterday, I was talking to James about, and I've had a number of conversations with him in regard to how do you handle your rewards. Like I think he's more in the camp of selling those packs and using that money towards players. I've kind of gone back and forth in it as much as I really do love ripping the packs. So that's kind of tipped the scale for me to want to rip them. But now I'm also at a level where I'd rather use my rare packs, and even if they can't help the team right away, I like the idea of having new mints and younger players that can stay with me for a long time. Because what I'm finding is, without spending a shit ton of money on players, if I want to get players that can help me, I'm going for older guys. And then the trade-off with the older guys is you either have like an older ID that's really done progressing, or you have a younger ID that might progress a little bit more, but isn't going to last as long. And if I want to get newer players that are going to be in my agency for a while, it's just so much money. So I'm looking at it and saying, it's much cheaper for me to buy uncommons to fill out those teams as I need it. When I get drop packs, they naturally have the limiteds or the common players, depending on which ones I buy. So it gets built out that way. I'd rather use my reward packs at the highest level to kind of feed that team. So the way I've kind of managed my experience over the past 11 months here has just been, what do I do to help the main team and start building out the agency there? And the wrinkle for that has really just been that they've progressed faster than I expected them to. So it's just kind of putting me in a position constantly where we're just like, well, what do I do now? Because as I keep stepping up the levels, that's been part of the fun. So I really enjoyed it. I probably spend way too much of my time now playing this game, thinking about this game. I'm just on this site all day long, constantly thinking about stuff. And I think now that I'm also more involved in speaking to a lot of you and getting to play matches against you guys or being in leagues with people that I know, it even adds a different element to it that you can't get from playing, FIFA or Football Manager. So it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I've really enjoyed what the MFL team has put together here. I like the way they approach it. I like the way that I like how open and honest they are in their dev updates. There's a humility there, going on, Bastion going on the Ramble and going on Jimbo show and being an open honest about how they've approached the engine and hearing the feedback. Like this is a team that really cares, and they're a lean team, and they put a lot into it, and it shows. And I think that a lot of the community really enjoys that as well. So it's been fun, and it's been an experience that I haven't had before. Particularly as I gotten older and had kids, like my time for the stuff has kind of gone away. I don't play video games as much as I used to, and I pretty much don't anymore. But this has filled a really big gap, a void in that part of my hobbies. And I'm also just a sports junkie, like all sports. Football here is my favorite, but I just will watch any and all sports. So this is getting to participate in like a tactical aspect of managing these teams has just been a real joy for me, and I love getting to share that with others. So it's been fun. I'm really excited to kind of see where this takes off. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that this is still such a young game. Like
It's because you
the
think of the seasons, don't you? You're like, oh, season
yeah,
5 to season 12's coming up. That's a lot. Your mind instantly thinks years, and it's not. That's just like an eight
exactly,
week
yeah.
window, whatever.
I still talk about it in years, but really it
Yeah,
hasn't been that long. So trying to project out what this is going to look like in a year, 2 years, 5 years, it's
yeah.
hard to wrap my head around. So I'm just hoping that it continue to still be a big part of how I want to spend my time in terms of my hobbies, because I have really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how much this grows.
Mm. I think that's it. I think like that's why when I'm thinking of age of players, when I'm buying players, and I'm thinking of the investment in money, it took me a while to get my head around the fact that if I get somebody needs, say they just let's just say they're going to retire at 30, right? Just to make it easy, and I'm getting them at 25. I've got to remember that's 20. That's 5 seasons, so that's like probably 1 year in real life. So I've got to think if that person bottoms out, like they're gonna need replacing.
It's not though.
Well,
It's not a
well,
year.
Like 9 months or
well,
something.
how many would it be? 8,
It's about
16,
30 weeks.
30. Yeah. So yeah, so less
Two
than then.
thirds of the year ish.
So you've still got to think like you're gonna maybe reinvest again. So
Yeah,
that's when I was talking about earlier about rare being like the level. Like it's not that I won't invest in any older players. I know they can play till 40 and all that kind of stuff, but you got to think that that's the investment when you're doing it for that. If you're loaning people, obviously, majority of it, and you're giving rev share away, it matters less. But it's just a thing because I know when I first did it, I was like, oh, right, get that player who's 23, nice one. I'm like, okay, cool. Like the next 5 years, that's
yeah,
awesome. Like, and I'm like thinking, oh no, the season's done and he's just aged. It took me 2 seasons to actually think, right, yeah, actually that 22-year-old I bought, and he was absolutely amazing, literally about to turn 25 after the next season. And I was like, wow, okay. And it kind of made me get really nervous about buying older players. And I had to go completely the other way and then convince
yeah,
myself I can still buy 29 and 30-year-olds. And I think I showed on last week's pod. I think for my team when they were in Stone, I was like, right, I don't want to invest loads. Picked up 2 players for like $12. One was $12, one was 13, and they've both +1 this season. If they get to the end of the season, they don't have their retirement symbol. They've at least another 4 seasons, and they could go again. And I'm like, yeah, that you're never too old. And I think I put a tweet out or something in the community. But to your point about staying in the game and enjoying it, the community's help, right? So like I've played So Rare before, and like you said, FIFA and loads of other games, and I've never been a part of a pod like I am obviously with Mr. K and Bruce, which is obviously just the golden nugget for me. Really, it really keeps me interested in it because I have something every Sunday to look forward to recording with a couple of like awesome guys. So it's like really good. But even aside from that, the community is just crazy. It's just crazy good, and everybody, whether having banter or being genuine or looking for loans and looking for that. Because you got to remember as well, even if you're sending your players out, you've made a cash investment. Sometimes it might be like you said, $1, but you might have paid $20 or $30 because you've seen them, but you don't have the ability to play them. I think being able to do those things and loan them out is quite interesting. To trust people with that investment you've done, if you like.
It adds just a really fun dynamic to it, and just it's not just a game at that point. It's something that you really it's an experience that you have with a lot of other people, and it really adds to the overall experience and the enjoyment from it. I also just love loving watching matches. I know Mr. K, you said last week that you haven't and you haven't enjoyed it this season and don't watch them. I still do, even with my frustrations with it. Like I still watch pretty much every single match. Sometimes I flip through if it's if I'm getting battered with my shit team or something. But for the most part, I still enjoy and make time for watching these matches every day. And then the other aspect of it is just I love the idea that everyone plays this differently, not just in terms of tactically, but how they approach the game, how they approach the building their agency. One of my really good friends plays, and he's probably the one I talk to the most in real life about this. And he has one club, and his goal is to get that club up the pyramid as fast as possible. He doesn't care about earning rewards. He'll buy strategically to help fill out his teams, and he's kind of been neck and neck with me. I think we started around the same time. He is now in Iron, and this is the first time that he's really starting to approach a level where it's hard to get loans, even throwing a ton of rough share at it. But he's consistently given up 65 to 80%, and he doesn't care. And he finds enjoyment out of it because he likes the strategy of it. He was a big football manager player as well. So he really likes playing that game and isn't too fussed about starting to build up the agency. He's not interested in buying more teams. He just wants to see how far he can push this thing, which I really enjoy. I can see his mindset shifting a little bit now that he's had his first experience in Iron, and it's just like, oh, it's not easy to get loans here now. And even if you do throw a lot of pressure at it, like you quickly run out of ref share when everyone's asking for 8% for like a mid Iron player. Like, so that he and I have approached it in extremely different ways, but we still find a lot of enjoyment out of it. We're still texting each other every day about our results or some crazy thing that happened, and it's added to a lot of the fun.
Yeah, I think you can play at every level and enjoy it, right? Because like when I was doing this stuff for the race later, and I was like, all right, I need some players. Just picking up common players for $1 in a pack. I don't know how good they're going to be, but you can still have a pack ripping experience with $1, and or you can go to the market and buy them for $1, and you can build an 18-man squad for less than $20. Yeah, you got to get your club. I know that. But if delegation came in and someone was willing to delegate you the club, and all you had to do was invest in your own players, you can go along that route. So that's going to open up avenues like that. And I think that's what makes it really accessible. I think we've covered it before as well. I think the only thing for me is it's that ability to win, because the difficulty is when you are in Flint, people are buying new club licenses, are stacking because obviously player prices. So it's very difficult to get out of there unless you just are in a league that's not completely stacked, or you stack yourself, or you just, I don't know, you manage to overturn some of these better teams. And that's the only thing for me that, like I say, I've had concerns as I've gone along is, I know that's the same in any football, right? Someone in any division could have an OP team and then go up and back to back to back to back promotion. I know we're going to see that. It's just, how do you get those that have got a very thin wallet, let's say, for any reason, or they don't want to invest a lot in it? How do you give them the ability to have a chance of winning Flint? And even if they come back down, and I know they still do, but if there's $1 players on the market, even if they're rated in their 40s, I want ability for that team, not just to have progression and hope they build, but have an ability to play in a world where they can achieve something. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe not articulate it perfect.
You don't even need to do that. If with club delegation coming in, you could literally, especially at Flint, you can spend nothing and loan every single player in. I've literally just done that as a thought exercise because I've done it myself before. I was for a season, and it worked. There are 62 rated players down to, well, you can keep going down. I'm seeing at least 30 players, and I've only got to 59 rated, all at 0%. Yeah, they've got some match clauses, but if you get your head round, there's some non-match clause players there. There's a 20-year-old striker that's 60 rated with 62 pacing, 65 shooting, 59 dribbling. His physical isn't great. He's on for 0%, 5 matches or 2%. You can build a club for nothing.
You can
and play, and then an MFL, and then I might go get myself a common player pack, and then I've got a player that I want to try and do something with. it's so easy because there's just so many players in the ecosystem, just so many. And like some people have gone, I'm going to get that license because I want somewhere to put my guys to see if I can progress them. Not everyone wants to do that.
No.
But they still got the players. And the market is saturated with those players. So yeah, it's an interesting conundrum, but there's definitely ways to get successful. And if you want to be more successful, you were saying then, Andrew, about like iron and loans and the percentage things. The way around that is network.
Yeah.
As soon as you are known and people know who you are and they see that you're active and you're engaged and stuff like that, those rev share percentages do come down fairly quick. If you get 8%, you'll take 8%. Because the flip side of that, because I agree, like that sort of percentage seems obscene. But if I'm the owner and I've got X amount of time with this player because they've got a shelf life, I'm trying to maximize how much MFL I'll get from them to get like a return on investment, as it were, for however I've accrued that player. You want as much as you can get. I get the mentality, but it is obscene. Wildly unrealistic. And the higher up you go, theoretically more valuable the player is that you're sort of looking for already. So that manager's looking to get as much MFL as they can to backfill them. So there's two sides of that sort of conversation with it. But as soon as you start networking and getting to know these people, you can negotiate very fair contracts very, very quickly.
Do you want to run through your club delegation idea then while you're on this mode of talking about throughout club delegation? Because you threw something into our Discord. I know you'd given Bruce and I a heads up about it and shown us it prior to you putting it out there to see what we thought. And I think we both fed back with maybe different ideas, but to help you along your way. And I know you took something in our Discord, but I think it'd be quite cool to talk through the thought process on it. I don't think you'll be able to share it though, will you? You just have to.
Well, I would, because there's a couple of things I can just change which tab I'm sharing if you want to bring it up. So I'll share this tab instead. Cool. So here's what I was putting out to people, basically. I'll go full screen for a second. So I have, and going into next season, I still will have most likely. There is an ice team that could get promoted, but I think one of my ice teams could get promoted, but I think the likelihood is we'll get a couple of relegations. I've got 28 clubs that sit from ice through to Flint. I've done it this season as a thought exercise. It was with Mini-Me and another guy that I bought some players off because he was moving to Australia, as it turns out, and he just needed to free up funds, but he still loves the game. He's been active. I've chatted to him loads. So I've loaned them the clubs. It involves trust because I've got to give them the license in this case. I've not got a mechanism of getting them back apart from that trusted sort of angle. They could build squads out from my agency, and I just did 50%. No anything else, just 50% rev share to me. So they run those clubs, and I've got I think 9 clubs loaned out this season. I've got a record elsewhere. So what I did is I sat down the other day and I thought, okay, I've got 750 odd players. I've got all these clubs. How much time it takes me to sort of fill them, the dedication, the time. All I do is focus on progression and rotation for fitness. They hit 93% fitness, they get rotated out. If they're suspended, they get rotated out, etc., etc. But there's no real care and attention other than that. So I started crunching the numbers about MFL earning, how much I theoretically could get from all these clubs for what I'd aim for, which is I put down 8th spot because in leagues like Ice and Spark, you can get relegated. I know Spark is a bit of you could and you could not because it depends how it all shakes out. What that MFL return looks like, what that MFL returns looks like if converted into cash, using the sort of idea of buying a pack and selling it. Got a rough sort of model in my head of what those pack prices are. And I thought, actually, there would be value being added that if someone was taking more care and attention over these clubs on a game by game, looking who they're playing, what the other team are playing, how I might set up, because they've got a bit more invested interest and time in it, start pushing up where they finish in the league. And there's obviously an inferred amount of more MFL I'll make, and therefore more cash I can sort of fund back into my wallet and stuff like that. So my proposal basically was people could express an interest and register an interest that they would be interested in doing this. I've got no problem if managers used to use their own players, my players within given ranges. So I've put ratings in there of that would provide a good to very competitive team in that league. But you can put your own players in there and you can supplement it with more. So if you've got, I don't know, a really interesting limited player, you've got nowhere to play him, you don't want to loan him out to anyone, you rather manage yourself, but you have to buy another license or buy more players. It's just a headache. Loaning at 0%, But with my flat base rev share for the fact that you are loaning my club would be 75%. Based on performance, that would be adjusted, like getting in the top 3 or reaching the quarterfinal of the cup will keep dropping down that percentage rev share, because all you do is you cancel the contract before rewards day, and then it will reduce my rev share as we go through it, and I don't lose out on training and anything else like that. But the premise is you get someone to play and progress your players, get a bit more MFL, because 25%, yeah, it's not groundbreaking at some of these levels to me, but to someone else it could be worth quite a bit. And again, if you can start performing well with those teams as well, or you stack with your own players to make them even more powerful, even better. Because I sat down and worked out the numbers, and I literally sat there and I just started doing some forecasting of basically of 8th place finishes, 3rd place in the league, what that looks like. I was doing the same premise for 3rd place and quarterfinals, roughly looking at it on average. Depends on how strong that team is, because it depends on what cup tier. It's worth quarterfinals is worth about a third of what you'd finish in the league if you finish quite competitively in your league, and then worked out the premise of okay, if we did that across all these clubs, how much MFL, cascading effect of hitting the sort of milestones where I drop by my percentages, and then from that working out roughly this is in dollar value basically of the packs and the MFL earned, how that would all shake out. Looked at the numbers and I thought I'm happy to do that, because what I was doing up here is going, okay, well, if I had to replace players in a squad or a club, how much per player minimum for at least a competitive team just holding the division, how much would it cost to rebuild a squad? And for Spark and Flint, I was like, it literally can cost nothing, because that's what I'm going to do in the future. I'm not going to replace players at that level. I'm going to loan them, because the amount of free contract loans that you can bring in, there's no financial interest for me to do that. Yes, you can do the progression. Yes, you can try and pack in the pack drops and getting all these interesting players. But the time investment piece, because I want to be focusing on the higher echelons of where I've got my teams, my time and my money is better spent up there than it is further down here. Everything from ice down, realistically, is helping further fund the upper end. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I'm looking to make sure that I can do my own club delegation with that. I'll probably wait and see what MFL release themselves, because I think that'll be interesting. It provides a bit more security and solidity for me. But I don't think there's potentially, like, the only negative thing for me potentially is I loan a club to someone because I have to drop it on them, or they buy it for 0.01, for example, is that they don't give it back or they bugger off and I've lost it. So there's a bit of a trust sort of process going on there. But I've had a reasonable amount of interest. I've had a number of people come forward and say they might be interested or they are interested. So see how it all shakes out. So if people are interested, they can just reach out, especially if you've just got, I don't know, 4 or 5 players that are limited that you want to play somewhere. I can provide the place to play them. I have realised I've stopped sharing my screen. I've closed it, so I don't know if that balls up now what you've been doing, Root, in terms of sharing.
Well, I've gone back to the live for all 3 of us live, so
right. Just let you know.
I noticed you disappeared off the screen. But have you closed your whole browser window, you mean?
No, I've just closed that particular tab. The thing where it pops up saying stop sharing. So it might be I just can't share anymore, which is fine.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
All good.
No, I think that's a really good. Go Andrew. You jump in.
I was gonna say I like the way you laid it out, and it's clearly put a lot of thought into it, which makes sense. The main questions I had were, it seems like the way you've thought through this, it's really been about maximizing the MFL earned on your club more than player progression. Yes. Is that a fair? Okay. So yes, are you just not worried about the player progression at that level? Because the other question was, if players do, if people who are managing these teams do want to put their own players in, the incentive is to maximize the performance of the team, which could mean that they're not playing your players. So like this, it seems like you're not as fussed. Because when I think about the way like Trust has been excited for club delegation, he thinks of everything from like a return perspective and how much MFL is earning. But I think he also views it as the team performs better, he'll earn more. But he really wanted a breeding ground for his own players to progress. I'm sure he's going to have a role on his own players. Feels like you're kind of taking a similar but different view on it, which is how do I just maximize MFL and care less about progression? Is that fair?
It is, because it's like the realistic possibility of a common becoming a substantial player within my agency structure of where I value more time and attention for those clubs, which is stone upwards. the possibility of a player going from, I don't know, common to at least 70 rated to have a fighting chance of having some sort of participation stone in a competitive way, that's not wildly realistic for the vast majority of players. Trust has got a lot more players than I do. I've still got a substantial amount, don't get me wrong. When I look at the leaderboards, I think it's top 30-ish sort of in terms of managers. But the realistic angle to that is that's not a realistic expectation from that. For me, of what I'm seeing with the progression, I'm realistically not going to be in a situation where all 28 clubs will be loaned out. I don't think there'll be that much interest in this model. So I'll still have clubs that I look after myself, but I'm reducing how many I am. So if I end up with having 10 in that structure and 18 get loaned out, that's a lot more manageable for me to really focus in and going, okay, of those however many players that I've got who are in the ranges, which ones do I actually want to really hone in on now? Because I've got seasons worth of me absolutely 100% managing them and giving them regular game time. Or I've got a bit more history if I've picked them up for whatever reason of how much progression they've had so far. Who are the ones that I see as the gems that are worth progressing and can be competitive in the teams have got, and which are squad fillers? They perform a purpose, and I can then build out those squads. It might well be that all these clubs get loaned out, 18 to 28 clubs get loaned out, and not a single one of my players is loaned in. It's a possibility. And then I need to revisit, okay, well, what do I do with all those players? Because the flip side of this is I haven't ruled out investing in more licenses. Because it's sort of like, basically, because a license doesn't have a shelf life. It can deteriorate in value if it tumbles down the leagues, accept that. And it is at the whim of the market. The average market price, if that fluctuates and drops any lower, which I don't think it is, it seems to be creeping up more and more and more.
Yeah.
Especially when I bought licenses this season, I've bought about 3 or 4 now. The offers that I see that were offered before I picked it up, and the amount of people offer 40 to 45, and they're just getting ignored. They're not being responded to. Somebody's holding out for insert figure, and I work out the average squad price now, club price now is about $50, which isn't bad. But then I sat back and went, okay, because I did a thought exercise of, okay, if I sold all 28 licenses of that range that I was talking about, how much could I get theoretically? And I worked that number out. And then off the back of that, well, how long would it take me if I didn't do that to earn enough MFL to replenish that? And that's why I sort of worked out those sorts of models with that, because then offsetting that with the cost of replacing players within this specified time frame. Because how many players have 10 seasons in them, theoretically, and just working through all those sorts of numbers, because I went quite deep with it down a rabbit hole, and I came to the conclusion holding the clubs made more sense than selling them, even though I can have a nice cash windfall and really invest. But it's not for choosing every single player and treating every player like they are going to be something, because they're not.
Yeah,
but they could.
That's fair. I mean, the club prices have a floor, right? It's a relatively safe investment, taking into account the risk of just existential risk of MFL as a whole. But the clubs themselves have to hold a certain amount of value, and that value doesn't go down except for general market value. Whereas a player, no matter how good the player is, that value is going to go down because they eventually will fully utilize its utility. So
yeah,
I agree with you. Like you can keep adding clubs. No, like even when I think about my own investments in it, like I think of players differently than clubs, because with clubs I know I can get probably most of that money back, and if the market does go down, I won't lose much, and it's a safe investment relative to players.
Yeah, short of MFL going bust, the club license is not zero. In terms of the value of it, never will drop to zero. A player will, because they will literally just expire in the game. They're no longer usable. They have no utility. A license always has utility. And that's where I threw more of my eggs in that basket about a season or 2 ago. I could have thrown more money into players and really stacked in some areas. And I thought, no, longer term sustainability to me is owning those licenses and working out a model where it makes sense. So I'm not having to constantly replenish, but I'm getting the churn effect of just accruing that MFL to be used elsewhere.
Becomes a farm, an MFL farm.
Yeah, effectively, yes. Yeah. But I just need them to be more competitive than they currently are.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think as well. While MFL is still charging the $80 for a club license, even though they do the promos, that's one of the things that will keep those licenses around that 50-ish mark. And like you say, you might grab a few at 45, but I think if you think back, Mr. K, you were buying some licenses at 45 2/3 seasons ago, and they're still at 45, 50 now. So it's not really changing. And like you say, the only way it'll change if MFL do decide to do something where they slash their prices. That's the only way I think they'll go down.
I
And
think
to
that's
you,
where they're
you're
sticking to theirs. I think that's where they're
yeah,
sticking to their price. That
exactly,
is their entry level price. That's
yeah,
their model, and I don't
exactly.
think they'll ever budge from it because they've had
No,
every opportunity to do so. The only time we've seen that is someone converting their trial club into
hmm
a paid club. There was that. That's the only
yeah.
varying
It,
aspect to it.
but even then, you had to have had the trial club. So I'm fine with that. I love that idea. You get a trial club, and they let you buy it for whatever it was, $50 pretty much. I think it was, wasn't it, or 60? I can't
I
remember what
don't
it
know
was.
actually. I never got a
Anyway,
trial
whatever
club.
it was when we saw it, I'm fine with that. I think that's a great thing to do. And I'm quite happy with the 80 because I think people still pay the 80. They probably get more sales when you get the free pack.
Hmm.
But if I was starting again and I was going to be able to buy a club and I could get a free pack and I could rip my first players, it was going to cost me $80 with that pack. I'd probably still do that before I went to the second market. But I like the fact that people can go straight to the secondary market. And like you say, when delegation comes in, they've got that as well. So, but 50 for a club seems reasonable anyway. And lots of people joining this game want to start at the bottom to the top. So even when you see licenses further higher up, for not much more, people still buy those ones lower because they want to do the bottom to the top football manager type thing. And also, to your point about loans, if loans are harder to get further up and players are more expensive, the majority of people coming in a new platform are going to go in that lower level, aren't they?
Well, you would, unless you weren't coming in with the idea of I want to be at this established level. Most new players, until they've got their head around this is what I want to do in this game, you want to sort of cut your teeth at a level that's affordable, easy to exit basically from if for whatever reason it ain't for you. And I think club delegation is also, as some people have discussed, it's going to help bring more people to the game because if I want to get my mates interested in, like everyone at the moment is messaging about the Liverpool Man City game because we do fancy Premier League draft style football. I know I could get a handful of those guys in through club delegation. I can delegate all my clubs and I can fill it with a load of my players and give them the experience of running it. And if it doesn't work out, they don't do it. I can get it back off.
Mm,
It's a very easy
exactly.
way to bring eyes onto it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Cool. Right. What we'll probably do is because I don't know how this is going to work. We'll set the giveaway thing off and see if it starts pulling the names into
Oh,
the
duck
box.
race? No, snail
Yeah,
race. Snail
the
race.
snail race.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
We'll try kicking it off and we'll let it run for however long it takes us to talk through the tester awards program, medium post, whatever it was, post that came out, Notion post, which I'll bring up on the screen. And hopefully this works. You can enter as well if you want.
Good.
Put it in there. I don't know if this is going to work, so it'll be a good
What do you have to
tester.
put?
It is exclamation mark snails
From when?
Snails
from
plural.
now, yeah.
From
Snails
now.
plural. Yeah,
Exclamation mark. Snails.
yeah.
Snails.
And we'll see if it pulls anybody in. And if it doesn't, oh, it has. Good. So it's working. So that is what it is. And while that's doing that, hopefully it'll still work when I switch tabs and share the other tab.
I'm going to keep an eye on it.
We will see what happens. I will switch to me, which should be this. And that will run for however long it takes us to go through some of this.
Let's do it.
So I think it's a great idea. The tester feedback, the match feedback to earn the MFL. I'm not worried too much about getting the MFL. That's a nice bonus. I just like the way there's a nice new tidy way to report stuff and you don't have to go to the Discord. And I'm more inclined to click a button if I do it. I am watching lots of season 12 matches myself because obviously with the tactic testing, I'm loving what I'm seeing in the season 12 engine, by the way. Some of the cheeky passes, the chip shots, and those types of things. So, I think it's quite a cool thing. So yeah, basically for those that maybe haven't seen it, I think most people will have. There's a new rewards program out. Obviously, it's all to do with the experimental engine. So if you go to a friendly match and you tick the box, and or you go to a training match and you start one of those, it'll be automatic. You basically can go in and you can report unexpected cases, situations that appear in your live matches, And obviously, the idea of the feedback is to help them fine tune stuff. So, what we should be able to see is if we've got lots of people feedback in, that when they release patches, it should translate to some of the stuff that we're seeing as feedback. Obviously, they'll find their own as well. And I think it's all transparent from what I've seen. You can go into the feedback thing. You can see people's previous feedback. You can obviously have a look at the highlights of that feedback as well. So it's quite good. I like the fact you can go and sense check it. I know when Bruce did one right off the bat, he put one in after a few minutes of being open. I could literally click on the link, go to his match, and see exactly what he said. Just really, really smooth to be able to do that. So again, like we just talked about there, you've got the experimental engine inside of friendly matches. Just make sure it's on. Then you have the feedback center, which is what I was just talking through there. So you've got, when you're watching a match, you do it. You must have your match ID. I think it populates some of these, if I remember rightly,
it's
if you're
also
still in the
populated.
match. So it should pre-fill it, and you can obviously view users' pass submissions, which is what I talked about. And if the reports get accepted, you're rewarded some MFL bounty. I don't know if you guys have done any yet or not. Have you submitted any? I haven't submitted any. So it'd be interesting to see how quick those populate through. I think probably once we get the season over with, people will do more testing, right? So people will be utilizing this more and probably do it. It'll be interesting to see how many false positives I get, because like it has to be an error, right? You can't just go, my defender didn't go for the ball. Like if it's consistent, then I guess that would be a thing. But launch bonus up until Monday. So when did the blog come out? Was it
Wednesday,
4 days ago? So it's only till tomorrow. There's a bonus you can get for submitting some stuff, 2 times the usual bonus. And these are the tier rewards that are on there. So you've got minor issues. If you report one and I believe it's a defect, and they go and do it, they'll give you 100 MFL, and they kind of give you some examples, UI, display inconsistencies. I think someone put one in there straight away, didn't they, where you couldn't skip the replays. I imagine they'll get $100 for that, 100 MFL dollars for that. You got your major issues, your critical issues, and so on. Basically, what's in there. What's everybody's thoughts around this idea?
Step in the right direction. Testing, fine tuning it, getting feedback in terms of a structured approach. I'll be honest. At first I was a bit disappointed because when I read through it and about this MFL sort of reward, and I was a bit disappointed in the idea of, okay, if I find a legitimate bug, but someone happens to have found it first, and they've reported it, then they would get they would get theoretically rewarded it, which I thought, oh, that's a bit disappointing and stuff when I first read through it. But then actually, I thought, fair enough, they've got to cap it somewhere. They don't need 100 people all reporting the same thing and just whacking out MFL everywhere. But it's definitely a step in the right direction. They need to get that feedback. We've already had a patch. We've got a second iteration of it already, haven't we? They did that shortly, within like 24 hours, I think it was.
And have they posted about that, have they? I'll bring up on the patch
Yeah, I don't know whereabouts they did it, but they definitely released like a patched version of this experimental engine shortly afterwards. I think that people were highlighting things like player freedom and stuff like that. It seemed quite rigid. People were slow. The players weren't moving in an attacking sense all that fluidly, which was resulting in not as many goals as people were hoping for. So I think they did a few tweaks here and there. Step in the right direction. I just got reservations come the start of the season because I tested the previous data engine extensively, and then the loop dropped, and it was extremely bloody different season. So I think some people I've spoken to, some people haven't bothered testing this experimental engine yet because they are fully anticipating widespread changes before, so they don't want to get sort of too invested into it. But I do think it's a good idea because the more people they've got their own process as MFL for testing that Bastis went through, both with Jimbo, and he went through it on the Ramble when we did that session that you spoke of earlier, Andrew. Which I think kudos to them for doing stuff like that. But this is giving people like how an MFL manager views the match engine comparative to how MFL developers view the match engine. I think it's an important perspective because you can't lose sight of what the customer experience is of the product you're giving them. So it has to fit. It needs to be something that the customer enjoys and they're getting what they need from it, not just objectively mechanically does this engine operate and function and deliver what we're looking for. So people are also going in to try and obviously be victorious and win. MFL are not necessarily doing that. They're testing just the engine in general. Can't attest to exactly what they're doing. But yeah, I think it's a positive development. It could go further. I've had ideas and suggestions previously. Like if they can ever get to a model where we know like the start of this season, here's the engine, but the start of the season they've released the experimental version of the engine for the following season, and there's some sort of means of continuously being able to test it throughout the course of the season, so they get 6 weeks to develop the following season's engine. That would be ideal, but whether it's ever going to be realistic, I don't know.
No.
So yeah.
So have you
I'm
seen
positive.
some of the stuff they've put in this latest patch then? So they've put reduced dribbling attempts, refine how successful dribbles are counted, increase the impact of the fluidity instruction to give players more freedom of movement, fixing issue or offside and corners. Have you seen some of these in some of your testing?
I've seen the same tactic in the first version to the second version. The second version making attacks seem more fluid. Players are moving and making spaces or carrying the ball into, seemingly carrying the ball better than they were doing. I've seen some improvements. It feels like a much better engine already comparative to what I've experienced in this season's engine. But again, I'm not getting ahead of myself because I felt like the beta we had to what we've had this season is so far apart from one another that there's no guarantees it won't change again. So,
I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't. I mean, I'll touch on it when I do my tactics sharing, but I'm enjoying watching because I had a period where I didn't watch some games because of being busy. Then I came back and it was like really good to start watching games again. But then I've watched probably, maybe 15 to 20 on the new engine that's going to be coming out as it stands. And I'm really enjoying watching those. Even if I'm playing the same formation I'm playing now, maybe similar instructions, different instructions. I'm enjoying watching what's to come in season 12 even more than season 11. I don't know if you guys are feeling that. Well, I don't know if you're feeling that, Andrew, as well.
Yeah, I mean, most of my testing has really just been through the tactics corner stuff that we've been doing. I hadn't touched the experimental engine much outside of that. My opinion is largely what Mr. K said, which is a step in the right direction. Like it feels like there's more structure around the testing. The issue I have is that the calendar, the overall MFL calendar, is such that it's always going to be a very tight window to actually experiment and test this in a meaningful way, which means they're always going to be up against it. So let's say they gather all this feedback, they make patches. Well, at what point do you stop deploying patches? They deployed one late in the session last time to fix a specific thing. Obviously, a lot of people had a lot of issues with it and didn't like what that turned into. So where do they cut it off now? And where do you say, all right, we're going to live with this known issue because we don't want to screw around with it some more? And the strange thing to me is that I feel like MFL has been very, I would say conservative in terms of things that they've rolled out. Like they've given us updates of we're getting close to this, whether, regardless of what it might be, club delegation, UI changes, and they want to make sure it doesn't get implemented until they feel really good about it. But the engine feels like every 6 weeks there's a new thing that they're trying to push out and they're trying to get it done really quickly. And I understand why. It's the core of the game. But the amount of rigor that goes into it from a user perspective isn't quite there. And I keep going back to the idea that the way a lot of the stuff gets sussed out is through people really paying attention to their games. And I don't think they do that until they have something on the line. So even if, like Adam just said, if you have the experimental engine available at the start of the season, who's realistically going to be doing that in a meaningful way until they have to? Like me personally, I'm involved in just trying to make sure I can get over the line with the teams that I have now. I haven't put a lot of effort into the experimental engine. And when I have looked at it, I'm not building my teams and my tactics in a way to best utilize this engine. And specifically, I'm not game planning against an opponent. And I think where a lot of the stuff gets discovered is once it's live and you're playing real games and there's live bullets, you're now playing against your week one, your week two opponent, and you're seeing specific things that you're trying to counter, and you realize, oh, when I set this setting, it doesn't really work, or it doesn't work in the way that I expect it to. That doesn't happen until it's live. And one thing I mentioned on the Rambler this week is like I think the only way I could think to solve that is if you have some sort of tournament with actual rewards, meaningful rewards that are on the table, because then it makes people actually sit and watch their games and try to game plan and try to work out how to break the engine or how to do specific things. That's when it comes out more, as opposed to just what I'm doing now, which is just hitting random, seeing what happens, hitting random, seeing what happens. Like I might be tweaking some things, but I'm not really trying to do the specific things that really get discovered as you go through a season. And sometimes you realize that there's a specific aspect of the game that is more OP than others, and then people counter it, and it ends up being a cat and mouse game throughout the season, which I enjoy. But then that's when things get discovered, and I don't think you could do that in the span of a week through a program like this. Now, adding MFL rewards and getting people more of an incentive to go in there and start playing with it now is definitely a step in the right direction. I just think they're always going to have this issue unless they take a break between seasons to thoroughly test an engine. I think they're always going to have this issue. And I think that one of the biggest problems they have now is on the back of what's happened in the last 6 weeks, a lot of people have lost trust in this. And I think that in any given season, these weird things always come up, right? We realize that through balls were OP. You realize that long shots were OP. You realize that dribbling is good or bad, or crossing is good or bad, and people adapt to it and they figure it out. And it's never really been too big of an issue, but because of what happened last season, I think that if the same thing happens now, there's more of a sensitivity to it, and people are going to complain more. So they're in a difficult spot as far as I'm concerned, because they don't have a lot of time to get this right. And then my question becomes: let's say you keep finding these issues. With every patch comes the potential for new issues to pop up. So where do you draw the line? And if it's not where it needs to be, or not in a spot where people feel good about it going into next season, what do they do? Do they roll back the season 11 engine, or because people hate the season 11 engine, do they go back to the season 10, 9, 10 engine? Do they just go forward with what they have? And these are difficult decisions that they're going to have to make depending on how this shakes out over the next week.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think probably what they're aiming for with this program is for the ones that are clear bugs and errors rather than the things that aren't working, maybe. Because I think you're right with what you're saying. The season starts, because once the season starts, everybody's set up for the way they think they will play. So coming forward, season 12, right? So you know you're going to go against people that are set up their teams to try and win for season 12. When you're doing like the friendlies and stuff like that now, and you're doing it in training, I guess you're just testing the match, and you could be against anybody set up in any kind of way. But I guess what they're looking for maybe with the program mostly is just if you see things that stand out that are damn right wrong, rather than you go, that doesn't feel right with that player. Maybe I don't know.
But think about the biggest criticism of this past engine. It's having wide ranges and swings of results. It's not trusting the individual tactics that are getting put on there, and it's the defensive positioning. And a lot of this stuff wasn't discovered right away. Like, some people were on it right away after the patch, but it's really as you start to use the engine more where you really start to figure this out, and that's when people grew to dislike it. That takes time. It takes a lot of testing. It takes a lot of user testing. And I just don't see again, with the way this calendar is set up, which is the right way for them to do it because they have to keep generating revenue. I just don't see how you can ever get away from that.
If they did, because my thought process here is, if you have been doing some testing for Tactics Corner, unless you know and can control who you are playing against, you'll be playing teams who theoretically have set their teams up for this season's match engine.
Yeah.
Which is chalk and cheese compared to what we've had previously. It's very, very different. So it's hard to truly know unless you control both sides of the coin. Like, how good is this tactic? I know Bruce and I have been doing a lot, Root. You've seen it. Like, I've just been setting up some of my teams of an equal strength to Bruce's, and I've just put balance on all the tactic on whatever formation, and he's tested initially, and then I've tried putting some tactics in for him, and he runs again a few more to sort of fine tune and tweak and stuff like that. If they did something, I don't know, like the Goal Rush event, where there was AI teams, and they can have them set up in whatever capacity one. Could it be an attacking one could it be a defensive one could be a balanced one, whatever, and they did something of that ilk again, how much time and effort people were going in. I know people were just bothered about play, walk away, see if we get some goals, but something which will allow them to have a baseline of here's all the large volume of games, as you said, Andrew, with something tangible attached to it. Like, I want to achieve something, I want to win something. There is a goal purpose that benefits me. Of course, it does if you're giving feedback and people are testing and watching. It benefits everyone, but it doesn't benefit me directly straight away. So there's a selfish aspect to it. Who cares? But if you can give them the incentivization of test, because you can get something out of it, and you're playing to win, not just playing to play, then I think we're going to see more accurate depictions of how good is this engine at this stage.
Yeah.
But we need something a bit more. But I think this is a good start. It's how do they build on this good start of testing and some sort of referral process to incentivize the feedback in a structured way? What's the next step for that? And hopefully there is a next step for that. but we will see.
Yeah, I hope so.
Do you think that the team is aiming toward having one final master version of the engine that they can continue to roll out every single season? Or do you think that they like having some variability? Because I personally like having a puzzle to figure out every season. I could see having a master engine that is devoid of all these issues, why it could get stale. But like,
Yeah,
do you think they want to be in the cycle where every
I
single
don't think you can
season
ever do that. I don't, because
Yeah.
even like your football managers, they post seasonal patches and stuff like that.
Yeah,
There's always
yeah.
something because there's so many variables. Because if it's just if we had this pristine engine, everyone would work out the optimum way to play. And yeah, we'll always have variability in there, but
Yeah.
you've got a realistic expectation going into every game. What the outcome is, win, lose, draw. You've got a reasonable expectation, and we don't want to get predictable. I get that, and I appreciate that. I think the ideal model is they move to, like they did for the last 2 seasons, where we had a engine for 2 seasons,
Yeah.
while to buy them time to work extensively on a new engine.
Yeah.
But I mean, in an ideal world, this season would have been that. This season's engine would have been good. People were happy with it. It might have been very different, but majority sentiment was positive that they could run it again next year with some enhancements, hopefully, so they don't change it completely, but it's a bit better, and they can start working on the season 13 and 14 engine. But as you said earlier, they've not been doing this for that long. They've only got a small. I give them a lot of benefit of the doubt. To hear a lot of people who are moving away because they're so disappointed. I'm not there. I'm far from that. But I worry if we have a similar trend going into next season, what is the cascading knock-on effect? Because the biggest and most passionate voices I've heard are the biggest agencies in the game. More often than not. Not all, but majority. But they've got the biggest at stake. Because the licenses, as we said before, are evergreen. The players are not. They've got a shelf life. They've got a very short window, some of these, because the ultimate best players are usually 30 odd or more. If they've only got 4 seasons left and you've lost 25% of that to a bad engine, and then we got to go again, and then after that, then they're even worse because they're retiring, whatever, there is a serious knock-on effect to that. And if you can't, any game like this is only going to be fully substantiated and supported if the whales are kept happy. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, and if you're not, you've got a problem.
The difficult thing is you'll have to get to a point where they're really happy with the match engine at some point, because there's always going to be bugs and things to fix, but the game will have to run in a certain way. The variation, because you don't want anybody able to master it where they pick a certain formation, set up in a certain way, and that just means they're guaranteed to win. And I don't think that will happen, because I think that's where the variation of the players comes in, and the players' skills and all that, and how you get it. Yeah, you can learn more, but if you're putting hours into extensively learn, then in a way you do deserve to eventually win over someone like me, I guess, that picks their tactics, sticks with it, and just rotates their players out. If you're someone that looks to learn lots of different tactics, scouts your opposition, those types of things, and tweaks and changes it, but taking the match engine into consideration, then similar to other games like a football manager, you deserve to go and win that Champions League and stuff. I think that's the key, because there will become a time where they can only be fixing bugs, and they won't be developing the engine when that, as such, you know what I mean? There might be, we can make players make more decisions, we can make them have more attributes, or have some hidden attributes, or underlying things, all these little things. There can be some stuff like that that comes out that doesn't change the face of the cards and what we've always known, but there can be some evolution in that way, because that's the only way to give more unknown answers. Because if you take the cards face value of the 6 things they have, if you want to have more variation, you almost have to have sometimes more of those, but having them not available to be seen. And I know I've joked about it loads before. I think that's the key metric to make it be still some of it down to not chance, but to unknown quantities, to figure out why that player maybe kept doing that. And it might just be because, you know, in the background, there is something that says he doesn't tie his shoelaces or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Consistency.
I keep going back to the idea that this is a relatively young game.
Yes.
So what does this look like 2 years from now? Like, that might be it. Maybe the 6 stats turns into 12, and there's more differentiation there. Like, they're going to have to keep finding ways to kind of make it fresh for that reason. But for this season now, for the reasons that Mr. Cage talked about with the whales, it's an open wound, and I think the MFL team is in a precarious spot. with how they handle this engine going into next season. Because if there's back-to-back seasons with this type of displeasure, it could end up having like a long-lasting effect on the growth of the game.
Yeah, it's like the idea if you've got a player that's worth, you've spent $300 for him, and you think you've got, I don't know, 5 seasons out of him. Let's just say that one season doesn't work well. That's 20% of that career, that player's shelf life that you've lost.
Yeah.
Same premise again with the bookings and the yellow cards and the red cards that people have seen an increased incident rate, which was proven in the match report. If we just take the league games alone, you're talking 22 games max in a 12-team league. You lose a player for a game with any degree of regularity. Every game they miss is just less than 5% of the season. Every single time. And then when you got these teams, especially because it seems to have particularly been hit hard in some of the upper echelons of the leagues and stuff, in terms of, I know Diamond, that's been a common conversation. It seems more that's happened every time, but every time you're losing 5% utility from a player that's worth insert hundreds of dollars, and you multiply that over the course of, and then take into account, well, it's not just 5% of the season, it's 5% of the XP, it's 5% of this, it's 5%. It starts really snowballing, and I am very much in the camp of I want them to get it right. I'm not wanting to be proved right, as in this has been a disaster, it's not working, and it won't work moving forward. Far from it. And this is why those people that have enjoyed this engine, no issue with that, because it's not. Let's not. The MFL is not make the game perfect for me, because it's not just my game; it's everyone's game. And I understand all the different points of view across what people saying people are being too harsh. It's not that bad. I accept all those points because it is subjective. And that's why I've tried to keep some objectivity with where my points come from. I just hope to God they get it right next season. I really, really do.
I think it's looking better in the next season. I'm all, like saying I'm all for these keeping 6 on the front of the cards, but like you say, not trying to compare it to games like FIFA and Ultimate Team, but they have 6 on the card and they have loads you can go and see. Other games have some on the cards and you can't see anything that's hidden behind it. I love the idea of having hidden. That's why I keep mentioning it so much, because I just love the idea of it might say passing, but behind that there's short passing, long passing, and crossing. There's low crossing and whipped crossing and all these. I love that because that makes me go, I've got these 2 identical players, and when I play them, they do completely different things. And I'm watching him, and I know it's because he's good. He can't cross or he can't pass. He only can pass short, and that then makes you unlock your players more and get engaged in that. And that's kind of the stuff that I really like. I'm conscious
Is it time for a snail race?
Yeah, I'm conscious of time because I know Andrew has got a Super Bowl to go and enjoy as well. Thanks for joining, Risu. Seeing you come in, Slippery Fish for coming in. But there is time for a snail race. I will flash up and show the rewards I've put together for Flash generally. They're not amazing. I just grabbed them off the thing just so we did something, a bit of a snail race, something different to ducks that other people do. First place you'll see in the Discord will get the limited player. Second, the 50 to 54. Third, the common, and then last place will also get a common player. Always reward people for coming last. I will bring it back to all 3 of us while I try and figure out how I copy these out from here over to here. And let's just hope it kind of works. We have to get rid of just YouTube editing, which is fine. Get rid of all this.
See, Jimbo does all this live though, Root. It shows this process being done. It's not all shady in the background. And this is what isn't this.
I'm gonna show you all the names done. I'm just cleaning up the.
This is the bit as well where you can sort of help stack the odds in people's favors as well, so you can give Kev a bit of an extra boost.
No. I'll share the tab. You can all see it.
Is there a granny snail?
Pasting the names in. I think we've got 11 people that have gone in. This is what it looks like.
Exclamation mark snails for any last ones. Slippery Fish has just thrown his name in the ring. He's there. I saw him. Yeah. Did you get Risu? Is Risu in?
Yeah, Risu's in there.
Oh,
you copy out of YouTube, it puts all the text at the end, doesn't it?
Nice.
You have a choice of slow snails and fast snails. I think we go fast because slow is super slow. It doesn't affect time. They just
I kind of want to see slow though. kind of want to see slow.
Trust me, I don't. Do you actually?
I don't know. I'm just curious now.
What does everybody want to do? Slow snails or fast snails? It doesn't affect the time; just affects how fast they move on screen. And how long do you want to do it for? A couple of minutes?
Are we going to sit here and watch it for a couple of minutes? Is my question.
Yeah.
What else have we got to get done?
We just got to do some tactics stuff. We are going to watch it because we're going to have to show it on screen.
Everyone's voting for slow. Just so you know.
Oh my word! Really?
Yeah,
It's
that's
so
1, 2,
bad.
3, 4, 5 votes for slow. We've had 5 votes.
It is on slow.
2
is
minutes
Jimbo
on
wanting
slow.
to join in this, or is he just replying slow? He's not in his name's not in the list, but I can add him if he wants in on the snail race or not. You can't do fast snails, Bruce said. He's got well. You say that, but when you watch this, you're probably going to wish I did fast. 2 minutes. We happy with 2 minutes, or do you want 1 minute? Come on, let's do it for a little bit. What do you? Couple of minutes.
I'm kind of down for a minute if we've got other things to do and Andrew needs to get off. Otherwise, we're going to sit for 2
I don't
minutes
have a hard
and
stop, so I'm okay to go over. So don't
All right,
try to defend me.
Jimbo's taking a back seat. 60
second snakes. 1 minute. Then is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, slow snails for 1 minute because it's going to be epic.
Well, you say that. These are what the snails look like. They're people's hands on them for whatever reason. I think they just let them go.
Didn't you say you were going to commentate? Yeah, didn't you say you were going to commentate? You know, like the sort of horse racing sort of style.
We'll shuffle them 8 times. Seeing as 8 is my favorite number. 1.
What are they doing to these snails?
3,
What's that one at the bottom doing?
4,
Stop rubbing him.
5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Turn off the sound. Do you want the sound on or off?
What's the sound like?
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
Sound off. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, with the ducks, you hear the quacks. I don't know.
Slow. I mean, I do think we should have done fast, but
no, this is perfect. This is absolutely rapid. Go on, boys. Go on, lad.
No, this is the way to go. Slow is better.
Hang on.
You think it's better? Oh, fast was so good when I tested it earlier.
No, everyone voted. This is epic.
Yeah, sorry, Zoo. I did think you'd want the sound off.
There's no granny snail.
They're approaching the first furlong. Mr. K.
I mean, they're not going to get far in a minute at this speed, are they? That's
hang on. Zooter's neck and neck with Mr. K. Kev is coming in third at the moment. Who's last? Risu looks like he's last at the moment. Bruce is dropping behind. Oh dear. Now wait for the hurdles. Go on, boys. Catch up. Ricky Hyde coming in through the back.
Oh, Kev's going to win again.
Hang on. Ricky Hyde coming in late.
Oh,
he's
Ricky.
coming up. Hang on. Hoodwink. Going mental for it.
He gets given a leaf as well.
Hoodwink.
There you go. No pack, just a leaf.
Oh, my word.
You get a leaf.
Let's have a look. So we got Hoodwink. I'll take a screenshot of that so that'll do.
Yeah.
Oh, Bruce comes last. Serious.
Yeah. Yeah, Bruce came last.
It's ridiculous. I'm gonna just show you the speed of fast, but these don't count, by the way, just so you can see.
Are we doubling up on rewards? Nice one, mate.
No, we're not. I will drop all the winners' rewards into them. I'm gonna go. I think if I go back, how do I go? Here we go. Maybe this way. I don't know. Maybe this way. How do we start again?
Don't know.
Okay, it's got random people in it, so that's fine. So I'll just show you the difference in terms of the
Put it on for like 30 seconds then, if we're going to see that.
It's
like,
fine. I'm not going to watch
2 minutes.
You can just see the difference. Right, I'm not going to watch the whole race. I'm just going to show you the speed.
It's fine. Do you do what you want to do, mate?
See? Look how much better that is.
Do
you actually prefer the slow?
Yeah, slow. Slow's more. It's more. What's the word?
Really?
Yeah, I definitely prefer slow.
Yeah, this doesn't feel realistic.
It doesn't feel realistic. It's not a very realistic engine.
Yeah, no
the movements aren't quite right. Formation's a little bit off.
Fair enough. Right, I took a screenshot of the winners. Congratulations, those that won. I will drop your Hoodwink, your limited player, into you either later or tomorrow morning. And same for Ricky, Slippery Fish. And if I have to send Bruce his, I'll do the same. So we literally have got tactics corner to. If everybody liked the snakes, let me know because we'll keep the snakes for when we do things going forward. I thought they were cool, to be fair.
I think we should keep the snails rather than snakes.
Snails, yeah. I don't know. I said snakes. Do you know what? Do you know the thing is? I was saying earlier, wasn't I? There's so many you can choose from on there, on the list of things. Maybe we should do snakes. I'll see if there's snakes. Definitely, there was leprechauns, which looked pretty cool. Robots looked quite cool, and monsters. There's loads on there. So yeah, we'll keep going snails. I liked it. Who wants to go first with the tactics? Connor, do you want to go first? Andrew, and then
Should we introduce it so people know what we're doing it for?
I am going to introduce. Do you have it on screen to introduce, or do you want me to read
I don't.
out?
I can't share screen. I don't think. Well, I can have a go at sharing screen, see if it actually works. If you want,
Yeah, you should just re-link it back up.
reshare. Is that working?
Yep.
Switch to you and
Winner.
Yep.
Right, so we had from a guy called Jazzerbean09. His club name was Houghton Strikers Ancona. Okay. They're trying to save his club from relegation. So he showed us what his tactics are. He's had to think about nothing too crazy and trying to get things worked out because he wants to help climb the pyramid. But at the moment, it looks like he's in Spark and he's trying to avoid the drop. If we look at his team here as a 4-3-3-A, he shared his tactics. He's got slightly more in terms of attacking width. He's about 55%, balanced on every team instruction for offensive purposes. Fairly low depth, a little bit of compactness, and then completely balanced again in his out of possession tactics. If I quickly jump over to this tab instead, here is the club. And go into the league at the moment. He's up against it. He's got 3 games left. He's got those guys 6th. He's got who else is there? 7th, and he's also got 2nd in the league in his last 3 fixtures. He's currently 5 points from safety. He's got to overcome a goal difference as well at the moment. It looks like realistically he's trying to catch this team here, 18th, in 8th place. At the moment, he's in the relegation playoff spot. He should be okay. It looks like these two are just sort of getting beat up every game week. That is the situation as it is, and he's looking for some feedback as to what he could do to try and turn it around. So he should get this information a bit sooner rather than later. So yes, how do we solve this season, boys?
Andrew, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, the awkward thing is I am that Portsea Island team. I'll be facing them, but with my 2 seed locked in, I'll be rotating. But I don't have a ton of bad players on the roster, so there'll be a rotated squad, but it won't be a huge drop off. So the what I found just from looking at his team, he's conceding a ton of goals and wasn't scoring very much. So I mainly attributed that to that line being far too deep, especially in this type of league. He's got pretty good pace with his wingers and his 3 forwards, really, but particularly one of his wingers and his striker have pretty good pace. And his defenders didn't have bad pace either. So I didn't see a need for that line being too deep. So that was kind of one thing that caught my eye. And then from watching a couple of his matches, the other thing that caught my eye was that he was losing a lot of balls with his defenders in terms of passing out of the back and getting jumped on. And that's probably partially a consequence of having a really low line. But he also doesn't have very good passers or dribblers, particularly in his center backs. So the 2 main things I changed right away were bringing up that line and really taking out the building out from defense, which I do like to put on my teams normally, but given kind of where he's at in terms of talent in this league relative to the rest of the league, I would change that. So the 2 things that I had done, actually, just to take a step back, I had mentioned earlier that none of my setups were the same for my 4-3-3 or for any of my formations. The 4-3-3-A I run on a number of my teams, and they all look different. So I was trying to think of what would best suit this team. And one of the issues I have is in terms of the teams that I have now, none of them that can run or that have wingers are in this level. They're either too high or too low, like my low flint or my strong ice are above. So I went for the training matches, which is what you guys have done. And I didn't have a perfect fit, but I got pretty close, at least in terms of OVRs, to where he was at. So this is what I used for the testing. And then again, having different templates of the 4-3-3-A for this particular season, I tried to figure out what might work best for this group as opposed to trying to replicate ideas that I've had elsewhere. So I like the attacking with, particularly with the speed that he had on the wingers. I think it's good to kind of spread them out a little bit, even though there's some natural width there, and give them open space to run into. Kept that balance, directness. For the long shots, I brought it down. I think there was only 1 or 2 players that had like good shooting stats for this league. So this is pretty standard across all of my teams. I typically go low for long or less long shots, and then add balance to the players that I have a decent shooting. Crossing, I kept balanced again with that width. with the fullbacks and the wingers there. I want to keep that crossing. Sometimes I put it on low and just add it individually to those wide players, but kept that here. And then dribbling, I put this one to low, balanced attack tendency. Given that he's kind of like middle to maybe bottom third in terms of strength, I don't want to get too offensive there. But again, team depth definitely brought that up. I think this is probably the biggest area to experiment. Run it with your team and kind of see and play and push it up, push it back. But I think this is where I settled, at least for this team, is kind of getting to the edge of that left edge of the 6 yard box. And then compactness, again, this is another one where play with it. See what works best for your particular setup. I like having it sort of in the middle. When you play with a tight compactness, you get exposed on the wings a little bit more, but a lot of it comes down to just your abilities for your particular fullbacks. So I have that in the middle. The trigger press I have as balanced as opposed to more often. I usually like having more often, but with the 4-3-3-A, a lot of times, particularly in transition, these guys are kind of caught in the midfield, cut further up the pitch, and then if they have the ball coming at them, if they overextend, that leaves that back line very exposed. So I'd rather keep them with a more balanced setup as opposed to trying to trigger press. Aggressiveness, I always have balance. I know a lot of other people like to have that as more aggressive. And then the clearances, as I mentioned, keeping it balanced as opposed to play out of defense, because I noticed that a lot of balls were lost there. It's possible that bringing up that defensive line might mitigate some of that, but this is where I like to have it and just ensure that we're clearing the ball out of safety when that's needed. On the individual instructions, the front line, the fastest players, I put as more freedom. And what I like to see is in the with those wingers having more freedom, is if they're fast, they tend to drop, receive a ball, and then they have a lot of space to run into. And I did score a couple goals that way, where this guy comes in, lays off the ball, makes a darting run to the box, receives it, and is able to score from there. I try to have that on all three. If you have a slower winger, I might keep that as balanced for the freedom. And it's actually how I had it set up originally, but then I ended up changing it to having all three, even though this one's a little bit on the slower side with 65 pace. I ended up having all three with that high freedom. And this is something that I found works well. It depends on the players and their passing stats, but if the passing isn't bad, I like having the risky passing. And the reason for that is I find that as opposed to them getting all the way to the end line, getting stuck and then just shooting it, with the risky passing, they're more willing to just try to lay the ball off to someone sitting in the box earlier, as opposed to just getting caught up by that byline. So on both wingers, I like to have the risky passing there. On the striker, given that your striker has pretty good shooting, I would have balanced long shots, still with the high freedom, and then have that more offensive to kind of keep pushing that back line and operating in some more space there. And then that front line, I like to have more of a trigger press. So even though the rest of the team isn't trigger pressing, just getting some pressure with that front three is usually what I like to have. So both wingers, I also have them playing direct. So I mix around either direct or risky passing, and different setups utilize both. But with the guy with more freedom, because a lot of times he plays further back, I like having him be direct, because if he does drop it off, he's immediately looking to push the ball up, largely to the one of these two other forwards or the attacking midfielder that might be there. He has pretty good shooting, so I have him for long shots as well. So again, very dependent on just your own particular players, and then that high press. So that's the forwards. The attacking midfielder, I like having a lot of freedom to be able to support the forward line, and then the risky passing, just trying to unlock these guys. If you're playing with that more wide width, then you and the more freedom, there tends to be pockets of space for them to pass into, and I want the cam testing out those spaces with risky passing. The trigger press, I forgot I also put here as well. So it's really the front four that are pressing. I kind of go back and forth with it with a cam. I just don't want these guys pressing, because then it could really leave that defense exposed. The midfielders, I don't have much, just again, risky passing. I've gone back and forth on this. I think I originally set them up with direct passing, and then I changed it to risky passing. Experiment with both. With risky passing, you might lose the ball more often, but it really just depends on the passing. With direct, you kind of get the same effect. So I've experimented with both. The way I usually try to play is have my central midfielders play more direct as opposed to risky. And I was going back and forth on that in the testing here. I ended up settling on risky for this particular set of players, but have a go with it. Then do I have anything? No, I didn't change any of their attacking tendency. And then on the fullbacks, I have cross more often, trying to get them up the pitch, getting it into the box with more freedom. this guy have more freedom here because he has more pace and he has better attacking attributes. Whereas on the right side, I don't have that more freedom. So that way, if one does get caught out, that third guy is back there to help out and then cross more often. And then the central backs just kind of keep them locked down. Conservative passing, low freedom, more defensive, really making sure that they're anchoring that position, especially since the higher line relative to the setup that you have now. And I have the same thing here. So really what I'm trying to do is get these guys into space, let the fullbacks get involved a little bit more, and really just try to spring passes. With the way your team is now being on the weaker side of it, this should help to kind of spring up more attacks and getting these guys more involved, and then not being so pinned back should help cut down on the number of goals that you've been conceding, which has been pretty high. That's me.
So you did you enjoy playing it? Did you enjoy playing the tactic?
I did, yeah. And the tricky thing here, and I should have led with this, is that with these training matches, you can only use the experimental engine. So the results that I had there, if I go to past matches, I started here, and the losses and ties that I had were with stronger teams. Like some of these weren't bad at all. So I did like the results that I was seeing it play out. But what I found with this engine, at least in my testing here, is that crossing seems to be OP. Like a lot of my goals and create and chance creations really came from the ball being whipped in across in the box, or just having the fullbacks kind of send the ball back and forth across from each other. So it's hard to know how that will play out in the current engine. I do have more crossing set up, but I feel like it's been more more effective in this new engine, at least as it currently stands. So I had a mix of results. Someone played me overnight. And I won that one 4-0. And I had a bunch of ties here, but what I really tried to do was just look to see how the players are being utilized on the pitch, knowing that the engine's a lot different and utilizing a lot of the concepts that I brought into my own teams based on what I know about this current engine. But it's really hard to gauge the effectiveness when you're using that new engine and this setup.
Yeah, sure. Mr. K, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
What I saw straight away from looking at his setup is he had the low line, he had the compactness, but with having no other team instructions, the team was basically set up to sit back and hope for the best. Like, try not to get beat, which is where I think you're conceding a lot of goals. I think the slightly lower line or lower lines in general helps to try and mitigate some of the defensive AI issues like tracking runners and stuff like that, because the ball goes in behind your defense and then the defenders half the time don't know what they're doing. They just disappear, they go to sleep, they watch the ball, you pick what they do everything. I personally don't think the 4-3-3-A is a very good tactic this season. And equally, you've got a squad that's more catered to occasionally running the 4-3-3-A, but more consistently running your the 4-3-3-D. You've got the DMs there. You've got three of them in the squad. One of your highest rated players is a 64 rated DM. You've got a 62 rated DM, and you've got a 60 rated DM. So you've got plenty of depth there. And both the cams, two of the cams are a red retirement symbol, and the third one's got the yellow retirement symbol. So there was lots of bits going into that. I'd be picking and choosing which games do you run the more attacking setup and which one you'd run the 4-3-3-D. But I put a team together for 4-3-3-A. For going to the instructions, because you've got pace and you wanted to push it a bit wider, I agree with your assessment there, Andrew. But I would be going direct. You want to get the ball back off the team and attack quickly. I'm not looking for balance. I'm not looking for the slow build up. Let's get forward. Let's use the pace and get at the defenders, because you'll get a wide mix of stats down at the level that you're in against what the opponents are. I wouldn't be surprised if defenders have got particularly poor pace. Use your pace. It's so overpowered. I personally just prefer less long shots because I find too many chances are wasted from it. I don't believe dribbling is wildly effective. Choose players you want them to dribble balanced or more often on if you've got them. And I also think having the low line and not playing anything more than balanced, at least balanced, you are asking for trouble because you're just going to sit back and take the punishment. So I left the sort of lines as they were. I've got the trigger press more often on there because I don't mind a lower line, but we don't want to be sitting back and just waiting for them to attack us. I don't know many people who are playing more aggressive since we've had this season's engine change, because I'm really focusing on this season because you want to try and stay up this season. And out of just my preference, I like to play the ball out of defence because I don't like just pumping the ball back to the team and then we go through another defensive phase, try and play our way, even if it's get the ball back in the middle, play it sideways, and then we're hitting direct and we're trying to turn the team around quick. Personal instructions, play out defence from the goalkeeper. I always have that on for me. I agree with you, Andrew, that cross more often on your fullbacks. It also works in this engine, not as extensively, but in the new engine, it very much does. Crossing does seem quite good at the moment. But again, pick and choose the right players. I've got low positional freedom on these centre backs because to try and help mitigate the idea of them going to press elsewhere and then get caught out of position because they won't recover into the right position again because of the defensive known defensive AI issues. The centre mids, I want them facilitating. I want them keeping very balanced. So while I've got the team are more offensive, I've got them unbalanced. So they will pick and choose, hopefully, when they go up and down the pitch. The cam, I noticed your cams when I had a look at them that they had decent passing for the rated player they are and the level you're in. I would encourage risky passing on your cam. I don't run too many personal instructions all that often anymore. I like the high offensive and more offensive on the wingers. That is just a personal, whether that is true that you need to run both to get them moving well positionally with freedom in the attacking third because you're playing team instruction more offensive. It's a habit for me. I put it on regardless. And got the same assessment as you, Andrew, that the striker that he's got good shooting on his striker. Have the balanced long shots. So he's not that he can't take long shots, but I'm not encouraging it on the regular. But nothing else. He wants to be there to be finishing the chances. I am team captain your striker in this, especially if you've got a one striker formation because you've got the one person who has the good shooting stats more often than not, who needs to be bagging more often than he isn't. So giving him that boost of pace in his finishing just makes sense to me. If you've got two, then you can have the argument of where you put it. But yeah, honestly, I think moving to a 4-3-3-D for the last couple of games of the season is going to give you a bit more defensive solidity, more control, and that more direct play again will even do even better. And then you can help beat that team that were second in your league towards the end of the season to help secure what you need. Because I'm sure Andrew doesn't mind.
I exclusively run a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, and I find that always struggles against a 4-3-3-D. So yeah, that might be a good bet for you.
Yeah, I think the 4-3-3-A. I've seen this at like your plats, your diamonds, your silvers, your golds. The 4-3-3-A seems wildly inconsistent because soon as you get the ball in behind the midfield line and the known AI defensive issues of tracking runs, you sort of put in a perfect mix together for the engine to go, well, this isn't working very well, is it? And then they're in time and time again. So that would be my recommendation at this point. So, Root, how are you going to save the season?
To be honest, let's have a look. Change over. I love this that much that I really am considering running some of my clubs on 4-3-3-A next season on the match engine. And all I've done since I started this game is 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. And I know I posted in our Discord, so a few people, can you just tell me how you rotate this properly? And I know you replied, Andrew, which was great, and a few others did. Because I enjoyed watching it. This Leclerc who's the guy I picked up from you, Mr. K. He's just a great player. He just bags goals. He plays really well. I just got it playing so well. The striker was a 65 when I was testing, I think, and so was a left winger. But they've obviously gone up on progression just generally in my club. But I did try and match similar players like you did to his team across the board. I did set up in a controlled way, which I know everybody probably will be anti for an attacking thing like this. I know everybody's an advocate of direct. But I found controlled with the 4-3-3-A for me worked really, really well. I've got the attacking slightly up past half, as you can see. I think I was very similar to you, Andrew, in the setup here. I think my depth slightly less than you. My compactness is just under where you was. And obviously I've got a higher trigger press and low things. But I think everything here was about the same except for I'm controlled and you weren't. I think the slider was pretty much identical to where you was. And then for the players, I went for my keeper, play out of defence. Similar to what you guys were saying, get my fullbacks forward, get them crossing more. All I've done on the defenders, conservative passing, more aggressive. 2 CMs, all they're doing is being more aggressive, win the ball back, get hold of the ball, not tell them to do anything clever, just win that ball back and do what you need to do with it. Cam, dribble more and balance shooting. and he's the main goal scorer I found in this 4-3-3-A. He's scoring more than my striker. That Cam is just scored some wonder goals. Striker don't cross just so he leads the line and balanced, and then my wingers are both on cross more and balanced. And the reason they're on cross more and balanced rather than just cross more and the less long shots like everyone else, I found when they're on less long shots and cross more, they did just try and cross all the time. But I do want them to cross a lot, but I also want them to be on the end of shots. So when I went to balanced long shots instead of just it being on low like the squad, the left winger was pinging balls across to the right wing and he was like volleying it straight in, or maybe taking a touch. They were just getting goals more when I did that. And in terms of the matches, like I think started on this pretty much straight away. They got a win, got a draw. I'll show this loss because it doesn't make sense in the equilibrium of all the testing. A 1-0 win, a 3-0, a 1-1, a 4-1, a 3-2, a 1-1. And then this, I changed it. I didn't rename it. This was me testing my narrow again. And the narrow, clearly, I got a narrow 5-0 loss when I did it with my own narrow, a draw, and then a win. I remember to rename it here. But all the way to here was on this same formation. This 4-0 loss is just bonkers. We had 18 shots, but for some reason we just kept missing the target. Must have been had an off day. We definitely didn't deserve to lose the game 4-0, that's for sure. But in games where we won, I think there was one I wanted to call out. I don't know if it was it this one where one of them where my Cam got. So they're the wingers scored some really nice goals. So there's one where my Cam was just playing incredible. So this one, let's have a quick look. It's definitely one where he bagged a hat trick. Clearly, just deciding to crash the site. Not that one. I don't know if it is where he scored a. Let's have that goal we got. Yeah, he scores the first goal.
You're talking about Leclerc scoring that chip?
Yeah, I think it's this one.
It's this one.
I think
it's this one. Yeah. I recognise it.
Where it comes out, he just gets it and just dinks it over the keeper. Absolutely love that. Those kind of animations, though, they're just so nice to just.
That's nice.
Goalkeeping, yeah. It's so nice to see them. Yeah, I don't know how I can't find the game where Leclerc got a hat trick, because it has to be in one of these games quite clearly. But
I think you made it up.
Clearly, I can't find it, which is a bit weird. But there we go. So he literally bagged a hat trick in this. He was just on fire. But this is what I mean about this formation. Because I love a Cam, I'm finding that the Cams in this formation just play really, really well. So this is obviously the left winger on the ball to the left back, straight over, bang. Just straight, lovely header, straight cushioned header into the net. I think they're all different goals if I remember rightly in this. Yeah, this is coming from the other side this time. So into the centre mid, right winger, to the right back again. Straight across. Bomb. Volley straight in. I mean, the variation of goals are just really, really nice to watch.
Yeah,
we may as well watch the last one while we're on it. Be nice if this one goes through the middle, because that'll be complete variation. I can't remember. It might be actually, yeah. So this is the centre mid, right back, centre mid, and then oof, power shot. But yeah, that guy is really, really good. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for the 4-1-4-3-3 attack. Like I say, that much that I am really tempted to play it with some of those teams at the bottom, because I've got wingers in all the teams that I can put them in all the teams that are not my main teams, because I've loaned them all out. Whereas in my main teams, I've built them intentionally for 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. So in those teams from like ice downwards, I could probably switch half of them into 4-3-3-A. And it'd be what I'm tempted to do is run half in 4-3-3-A and half in 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, and then probably keep my main teams as they are for now, because I don't really want to go out and invest in players. But I'm loving the new engine.
So. The good thing for that rotation too is you don't need backups for the wingers. You could just rest them by playing that 4-1-2-1-2. So that I like to switch between those.
And that's what I was thinking of doing. Yeah, so just play them there, put the wingers in, and switch between the two formations. I probably won't do that higher up unless I decide to go in the market for a left wing and a right winger. But that's obviously never say never. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
Nice. Yeah, it feels like for this team, it's really about leveraging the attacking speed more. and playing balance with such a low line doesn't really get the ball to them. So you either push it through some combination of playing more direct and bringing that line up so they don't have to go so far to try to get the ball to those wingers and try to be more creative in the attacking movements.
I was quite surprised that controlled was working so well for me, to be fair, because it literally was. I mean, you saw the game where I lost, which just didn't make sense on any of the statistics, but controlled in that attack, 4-3-3 attack, which goes against what most people obviously say to play direct. I felt it worked really, really well. I mean, watching the games and the goals that you just saw there, the way they controlled the ball and passed it around just worked. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to just leave it on controlled because I play it on controlled in my narrow formation anyway. And I sort of thought, well, I'll leave it on that because it's playing really well. Yeah, be interested to see as the evolution goes on. So I've obviously saved that down into one of my teams as well to see how it plays out.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Cool. Right. We'll try and wrap this up in the next 10 minutes at the latest because we'll bang through these questions and then we'll let you go and enjoy the Super Bowl.
If you allow me, can I just have 1 second for a shirt change a la Jimbo?
Yes,
go for it.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, as long as you do it on screen, though.
yeah, you go shirt change.
Free the nips.
So we'll start because it should be fine. So the first question is probably for us anyway. When Sunday night streams? Give the fans what they want.
Today.
Here you go. This is us giving you what. Well, very nice.
We've talked about the Metaverse Football League. Now we're going to talk about the real football league. And my New England Patriots playing in the Super Bowl in a matter of a few hours in their record 12th appearance.
We gave you the name. We gave you the name for your sport. We let you have the name for your sport. We let you borrow it. So you're welcome to have a second-hand name for your sport. Don't worry.
Oh, man. So, yeah.
It's a good shirt.
This is the team we're all rooting for here tonight. Is that agreed, right? They're going to win today. They're going to win the record 7 Super Bowl.
Yeah. I have no idea who's playing. So, yeah.
You're rooting for this club then.
The ironic thing is, I don't know anything about NFL at all. And I've occasionally linked into some Super Bowls when it's been on. But I was even saying to my missus earlier, like, I think we're going to try and watch some of the Super Bowl tonight. Probably because I've been in the chat with you in our DM like all week talking things through on it. So I'm like a little bit hyped for it, to be fair, to try and just see what it's all about. So, yeah. Are you just going to somewhere local to watch? Are you watching at home or are you going, where's you?
Yeah, with a
give the
friend
address
of mine.
out, obviously.
Yeah, a friend of mine's house. So we have actually my in-laws are coming over shortly, and they're going to be watching my youngest child, and then my son. He's 9, so this is like the first time he's going to get to stay up for one. He's very excited. He's super into it too. So the two of us will be heading over to a friend's house, and we'll have some other people there watching the game. So it'll be a good one. It'll be
enjoy it. It will be good.
Yeah, thank you. We're all very excited.
Cool. Yeah. So that does sound like it'll be amazing. Like I say, I'll try and catch some of it anyway. So yeah, we're just answering the question about live streams. Here you go. You asked for a live stream. Here's a live stream. We know it clashed with the Man City Liverpool game. I think if we do them, we'll potentially think about timings. But we've always recorded our pods, as I've said earlier, 5 till 6 o'clock, and they normally come out on Tuesday. I have been sat while we've been thinking this. How am I getting this into Spotify and into podcast format? So I guess I'll have to figure that out.
YouTube downloader.
I'm assuming I can download it. Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube downloader.
Done. But if you couldn't catch us live, you can watch it as soon as we're done, or can you rewind now? Whatever.
Yeah, you can rewind.
There you go. If you watch it when you get to this point, hi. Next up, Sunday night streams to fill the content. So yeah, we might consider doing it a bit later. If we do it more often. Andrew Q, who let the wanker on. I think Mr. K thought he'd be nice to.
That response got me. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Lots of people seem to like the response as well.
Yeah, they did. So there's one for you from Ricky Hyde. When you bought the Yorkshire tea to try, did you use a kettle or did you microwave to boil the water?
Do people microwave? No, I have an electric kettle. So I set it to the max temperature, get it right off the boil. And then I learned from you all on the best way to do it. This is the first time I've seen bags of tea that don't have the string on it. So I was very confused at first that I just have to like let it sit in there and push it around with a spoon. But I have experimented with milk and with some sugar. And the way I like it is just with a little bit of milk. So, and I take the bag out before I put the milk in. I don't,
Good.
I don't do the kettle approach.
Good. Good. That's the way to do it. James Hammer said, did he make his guest record at 5:40 a.m. his time, or is Root only discriminate against people from Australia? I think I replied in there. I also sent him a
discrimination.
I just asked. I bet I got paid more than you for this too, Hamas.
Probably, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's probably because we had to let Hammers on because he just kept begging us to be on. So it's like, okay, fair enough. But we actually asked you to come on. Well, I actually asked you to come on. I think
I feel bad, but
yeah, I didn't feel bad for calling him on it. We worked whatever time you wanted, didn't we, Andrew? You said a time, we made it happen. If you'd have said earlier, we'd have been early.
Let me ask the guys. 2 minutes later, you came back and you said done. It was great.
Yeah. And to be honest, when you said it, I was kind of like, well, there's a good chance James won't come on. He won't even be there live. We don't have to deal with him in the chat. It was like a win-win all around.
Yeah,
so we were
team
happy
better.
with that. What else we got going in here? North Ship said, how did Andrew Q enjoy the recent Providence Harbour versus Verona Mondragon match? I've heard him speak about his team in some of the streams, so it was a real pleasure for me. Also, get your grubby American hands off Greenland. I say this as a dual US Danish citizen.
Yeah. If you share my screen really quick, this is what he's talking about. So his team is good. I mean, they pretty much have the league wrapped up. I'm not sure if he made any adjustments mid-season or not, but we were all kind of just hanging in there together, and he's had an excellent second half of the season. And then it came, I think we were 3 points apart, played against him a couple days ago. He beat me 2-0. I don't think it was I think the stats were relatively close, but he was in full control of the match. So congrats to him. I'm down in the muck now with these other teams. But hopefully I can make my way through and we'll see each other again next season. But good job by him, and I'm bummed. I beat him the first time around, so at least we split it. And then as for Greenland, I do not espouse those thoughts. I want nothing to do with that. I love our friends in Greenland and Denmark. You keep your land, you keep your resources. I'm happy here. Just don't.
You don't want to use this as a platform to discuss American politics, is what you're saying?
No, I prefer.
Are you sure?
For the real football, right? This is actual. That's the only politics I want to discuss here.
A few more questions. Who is Andrew Q's PR manager? He has been passed around the MFL podsphere like a split at Bob Marley concert. That's from DQ Smooth.
I've said it before. You guys have all run out of guests. Like you're just scraping the bottom of the barrel, looking for anyone to come on at this point.
We're definitely not, but we I like you say, I reached out to you to get you to come on, and I think we've got a plan of action of how regular we're going to try and bring people on. To be fair, so we'll see how that pans out. James, who's winning the Super Bowl, and why's the answer Seattle?
No, he's wrong. He's wrong. It's the Patriots.
Patriots.
They're going to win their record 7th Super Bowl. It's happening, and Seattle's heavily favored, but the Patriots are going to come through today. And you can just cut this out, right? If like they don't win, you can just like because okay, great.
Yeah, so we'll just pull the whole pod down as if the episode
whole segment. No one needs to see this kit. We're good.
Cut out the whole of the everything from the shirt change out.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Well, if I've got to download it to put it into a pod format, I could always re-upload it. You see, without that in, so it's easy.
Excellent. We're good.
Another one from James. How has Andrew Q found competing against Bruce Lee in Iron this season? Did he have to actually put any effort in to win the league, or was he in second gear most of the time?
Yeah, and I put in a little bit of effort in the second half of the season when Bruce seemed to have turned things around and was getting a lot of good results, but I'm very hesitant to talk trash right now because I have 2 very tough games coming up. I was hoping he slipped up yesterday. Him and Snake both went down 1-0 in their matches yesterday and came back and won 2-1. If either one of them had slipped up, I'd feel a lot more confident. So it's too bad. I was looking to talk shit with Bruce here today, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. So I'm gonna hold off on my shit talking in the Discord until I feel better about winning the league, but it's still very much up in the air. So I will just say it's been a fun league.
Yeah, Bruce has gone to watch the Super Bowl. He's gone to a Super Bowl party. So I keep calling it a party. I don't know if it is a full-blown party. He did tell us at the end of our last stream when we came off. So he has gone to watch the Super Bowl with a load of friends, and it sounds really cool. So dropped a message this morning to say I hope he has a great time. I've seen him dropping in and out of the chat, which has been nice. But yeah, he's there to watch the Super Bowl. So somewhere to watch the Super Bowl. So it should be quite cool.
Nice. Hopefully he's rooting for the Pats.
I don't think he said, did he, Mr. K?
No, I don't think he said. I don't think he said which way he's going on that one.
Hopefully he is there. Let's just finish off by checking some of the last things in the chat then, and then that will be us. So Hood has said, first season user wingers with my lowest team. He's awesome. He's a 4-1-2-1-2 wide guy, but he's having fun with a 4-3-3. Would recommend giving it a go. He's basically saying that to me, which is good. Thank you. He's on about some players.
I can confirm, by the way, Hammers and Bruce, there is no agenda. We've had no agenda. It's
don't want an agenda.
A shit show, really. So
I
have no idea what's going on.
I think if we do lives, we don't have agendas. There's no point. Literally, I want it to be no hold bar, just chill, and it has been. It's been a good stream.
It's been hard.
Like rugby, they have a break every 5 seconds or so. That's what Kev said. Some guy called Hammers has put some stuff in, but it's all blurred out on my screen, so I probably don't need to read any of those ones. Just like Raiders fan. Bruce has said he's a Raiders fan, so he only watch because it's tradition at this point.
That seems to track. I think his personality fits well with the Raiders.
Yeah. So what did Hammers say? It's the only sport where 4 15-minute quarters can take 4.5 hours to play. Funny. Bruce says he's not part of the slander. Hoodwink had to dip off. I've said bye to him. Root hates Australians. Tried to make it clear I don't hate Australians. Just have not got a good fond feelings towards you, Hammers. That's the beef I've got these days. Agenda was made. Don't need one. I think that's it. No agenda. No nothing. I think we're done there. Thank you, Andrew, for coming on. Absolutely amazing. Love the fact you're getting around the pods. I think it's really, really good. I appreciate all the content you put in our Discord and all the interaction there. I know you're one of the people that are in there quite a lot, engaging with lots of people in the community, and I really, really appreciate that. And like you say, wish you well for the rest of the season. Hope you keep that team up that's trying to fight relegation. And we will have you on again when Bruce is on. Like you say, we're going to go around cycle of people every number of weeks. I think next week we will be back to doing our normal recording as we normally would on a Sunday night, just the three of us, and it'll be out with you on the Tuesday. But if everybody likes this and you do want to see more lives, I'm pretty sure people do, we're going to try and get maybe like 1 in 4 or 1 in 6, something like that as a live stream. And we're quite happy to position it later in an evening on a Sunday when we do that, sort of like circa 8 p.m. ish, maybe the same as what everyone else would do. So people like Hammers can join in, all jokes aside, but people like Hammers can join in, and everybody else across the world hopefully can pick that up as well. So we would like to start doing them a bit more, but it probably will be when we have a guest on, really. So we might just do it when we have guests on, because it's quite good to do it through OBS and do the screen sharing and that kind of stuff. So we'll probably do that. Any final comments from either of you two, or are we all good to end it there? Thanks everybody for coming in that did come in.
Yeah, no, just thank you for having me on. Appreciate all the work that you guys put into this, and the community guys that you've created in the Discord, and always look forward to watching you guys every week. So thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks for coming on, mate. And last one for me was also, yes, to thank you, Andrew, for coming on, but also Root, to say thank you to you, mate, because you've put some absolute graft in the last couple of days to get this stream going, how it's all functioning, all the sort of designs, the logos, the transitions, all that sort of stuff, mate. So, yeah, the reason we've gone live, everyone, is because Root pulled his finger out and actually sorted it out. Otherwise, it probably never would have happened. So, yeah, well played, mate. Well played.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Right, I'll click on the end broadcast button and I'll catch you two in a second.